Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the High Roller Super Millions, brought to you by myself, Kevin van der Kooi, also known as Rotterdam, in the world of StarCraft and a little bit in the world of poker, I guess, by now. And of course, as always, I am joined by the one and only Nano Noko. How are you doing this week, Nano?
I'm doing good. Another cool final tables. I'm always looking forward to this week, right? Just always some exciting, fun final table to watch here. Of course, they're playing for a lot of money, and I think you've been playing a bit of poker. You were saying?
Oh my goodness. You don't want to know the half of it, mate. The other day I was up till 10 a.m. playing high stakes PLO, at least high stakes for me. And at one point I was like, the sun is coming up. I hear the birds chipping away. I was like, I should really go to bed. Like, this is getting out of hand. Anyway, guys, let's get it on. This is, of course, what all of you guys are here for. And this is what Nanonoko and me are most excited for as well. Shuffle Up and Deal. The 21st edition of the High Roller Super Millions final table starts now. And we've got Gravy Boat opening up ace-10 offsuit under the gun. What is worth mentioning, though, is that our chip leader this week is not as dominant as it has been in some of our previous weeks, right? Like 3.2 million is obviously a fair amount of chips, but we've seen people come into these final tables with 5 million chips, 5.2, 5.5, and then you can really start opening everything. Like Elio Fox still needs to be a bit careful, because even if he doubles up one of the short stacks, that's going to hurt him quite a bit. And he drops down to 2.5 million, and all of a sudden he's third in chips already. So yes, he's the chip leader, but he doesn't have that big of a lead.
Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting spot here. Chris Rudolph jams into Timothy Noether.
I
He's
would
got King
call.
Eight suited. It's
I would
definitely a plus EV call from chip point of view, 100%. What Timothy Noether is thinking is, should I make the call when there's two other guys out there short? And he makes the correct call. Very nice here. And
Yep,
he's got
still
a
needs to
very,
hold.
very good flop.
Yep, needs to avoid a king or a 10. That is not a heart, but the king of hearts is the one that he's holding. And, well, that's not a queen or a 10, so, or a king or a 10. So he's going to be good. Well done. Great call. But I think it makes sense, right? King 8 suited against two random cards. Yeah, as the short stack, you just have to call. I think if he had like 1.2, 1.3 million, then I'd be okay with the fold, of course, because then it's just a bit too much. But he was pretty much the shortest stack. I really like the call. I think it makes sense. Yeah, Emmy Barra already finished in ninth place once of these final tables. He's going to get it in under the gun +1 with ace jack suited. It makes sense with less than 10 big blinds, but Chris Rudolph has a real hand. And the rest of the table is obviously going to get out of the way. Are we going to get some hearts? We saw hearts in the previous flop. Look at Alfie spamming his own face. Oh, but he
He
spikes the
jacked.
jack. Wow. Well, Chris Rudolph needs a queen on the river, and he does get the
No.
queen. That is in. Oh, that just hurts extra much, right? You get it in bad. You're already upset. Then you had the jack. You're like, oh, that's not bad. And then on the river, you still get that dagger in your heart. Oh, that's unfortunate for Ami, but I think nothing he could have really done different there.
Uh-oh.
Babe.
Timothy
Oh.
Noether is out.
Yep.
What kind of move is this?
He didn't believe Chris Rudolph was open. He thought he was opening a little too wide, but he wasn't. The queen 10 doesn't really flop a whole lot. Can we get a spade? Yes, we
Oh.
can. One more spade. Problem is, the king of spades is already out. That is not a spade, and that is going to do it. Nicholas Osted will ladder up, and this is the end for Timothy. Yeah, that was a bit unnecessary, right? I mean, I like the hand as well, Queen 10, and sure, sometimes you're going to get some folds, but with Nicholas Ostet being that short, I feel like there were better spots to go for it.
I think it's a bit reckless. Wow, three pretty nice hands from three big stacks. I think it was reckless though. I don't know. It just seems like you said there are better spots out there. You still got 13 big blinds. Timothy Noether was probably thinking, look, don't have any super millions cashes or had very little. I played all of them. I need to win this tournament in order to get my money back and break even. He's just like, I'm just going to go for it. And he
Wow.
got punished. And a lot of calls right here. And I like the way the hand's playing out right now. Actually, the big stacks should not be three betting. They should just be keeping the pots a little bit smaller because, like you said, if one of these 3 million stacks loses like a million chips or 2 million chips here, they turn into a short stack, put himself in a very bad position. We actually have 4 guys with 3 million chips, so it's actually a very, very close race. And then you all look at Nicholas's stats, like he's got 10 big blinds, so that's why you need to be cautious.
The 10 on the turn doesn't really change anything here, so I bet that Elio Fox feels that he's good. Gravy Boat probably knows that he's good, but he might be a tiny bit worried. Even though most tens would bet here, right? Like three-way pot, 400K in the middle. If you have a 10, you'd bet.
You definitely would bet now. You can see Gravy Boat being cautious with the two kings, because, like I told you, you don't want to play a big pot. You don't even want to get two kings in on this flop with these stack sizes. So that's why he did check the flop in. Elio Fox trying to feel things out. He knows Elio Fox probably knows he usually has the best hand, but he also knows his opponents will play their hands cautiously. And he
Oh my
hits the
goodness.
9. Wow. Wow. Wow.
That
Wow.
is absolutely brutal, and I really wonder how he's going to play this one.
I think he goes big value. I think he just hopes his opponent has a 10 and just like tries to get like a
1 million overbet? Are we overbetting?
If we're overbetting, I think $1 million is a good bet. 900K, something like this. I don't think he thinks he's going to get licked up too lightly by like 2 sevens or like, probably doesn't put his opponent on an overpair too much too, because he does expect him to bet the flop a lot. So I think he should be targeting the 10 most often.
I think at this point he's like, please have queen jack suited. Please have queen jack suited.
Of course, he's hoping for queen jack suited. Yeah, it's a very tricky hand because you kind of feel like your opponent's a little bit weak to the bow here. You're just trying to figure out, okay, what hands, what to bet, and
wow.
my chip leader, he got a little lucky here, but you know what? It's a pot size bet. Oh man, this is a tough spot for two kings.
I think you have to call. The funny thing is he's going to be very worried about his opponent having a 10, right? But it's not the 10 that he has to worry about. Can you fold kings here? I don't know if I would.
I definitely think it's possible. Against Elio Fox, I'm not 100% sure it's possible because I know my opponent, the guy I pick, is very, very aggressive. Gravy Boat's thinking about things, and we think about, take a look from Gravy Boat's point of view. He's thinking, what do I beat? Well, there's no obvious hands besides 2 diamonds. He's holding king of diamonds, so he does block some of those flush draws, which is, if you try to pick off bluffs, you don't want to be blocking those bluffs, you know what I mean? He's probably wondering, okay, why did my opponent bet so small in the turn, though? And it's a very impressive fold, and I like it because there's no... I think if that river card was not a 9, it's like a card that didn't hit some straights, maybe he probably looks them up. Regardless, look at this. Elio Fox had he had ace-3 suited, lost a lot of his stack. Now he's got ace-king. He's going to get it all in, and he might bust before all these guys.
Yep, and I believe, did Reba guy have an ace? I believe I saw somebody fold an ace already, right? So I guess one of the aces is dead.
Yeah, I don't recall, but I'm very worried because I think I just cursed my guy. Is Elio? Wow, Elio Fox just called. Wow, he could have got a full double up, but he was against 2 queens, so he wasn't exactly ahead pre-flop, and that's crazy, man. He just smooth called the ace king there.
Well, we saw Gravy Boat have a very passive approach to his kings. He is going to bet his queens, but he's going to bet very small, where it's kind of like, I don't see how my opponent can call unless they have an ace, right? That's kind of what this bet is meant to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to go for, you're going to continuation bet all your bluffs. You need to go for, just got to bet. You got to bet your hands. I'll tell you this. I'm thinking about a bit more. I guess Elio Fox, the reason why he just called here was just, look, Nicholas a step, 5 big blinds. I'll just play my hand a little bit differently. But, it was very surprising for him to just smooth call the ace king. But he's going for the check raise on the flop, man. That's sneaky. And I don't see the 2 queens folding that flop.
Well, not the flop, but we did see Gravy Boat fold his kings on the river. I mean, this is kind of what I get as well. When I'm like, Gravy Boat is picking up a lot of nice hands, but he's not getting paid off on them. He was forced to fold the kings on the river. And at this point, he's sitting there, don't bet, don't bet, don't bet. Please don't bet, Please just try to make a move on me on the flop with some random low pocket pair or whatever you have. Just don't bet. And now he knows that it's coming already. And Gravy Boat's got another very difficult decision to make here. Does make the fold immediately. He's like, that's it. I'm out. Well done.
Hey, you were saying that Gravy Boat keeps running high. He just keeps losing with those kings and queens and stuff like that. But correctly folding against Elio Fox.
Well, I think Nicholas is in trouble this round, Nanonoko. I really think he's in serious trouble this one. I mean, Elio Fox shouldn't get crazy here with his mediocre hand. Sebastian should get out of the way, but Gravy Boat should absolutely open this one. Reba guy
Oh,
folds?
Gravy Boat folded. Wow. Because Nicholas Estet 100% would be out because it's 1-5
Yeah.
dead. But now he's got a chance to get a double.
Now he's gonna flip. I didn't see many sevens or kings across the board though, and there will be a king on the flop, and that means that Nicholas Asset is still in all sorts of trouble. And Gravy Boat is like, nice. This is why I folded my six. Oh no, is it possible? Oh
Where's the middle one? Where's the middle one?
Unfortunately, it wasn't there, and that's going to be it for Lena 900 Speedy Double or just Nicholas Astet. No back-to-back second places for him or even a victory. Finishes in seventh place, walks away still with $70,000 though. And our next hand, Nanonoko, could actually become pretty big as well as Chris Rudolph picks up the eights.
Oh,
Elke immediately
Elke.
ships the A7. Oh no.
Ilio Fox, take out your guy.
But I didn't see many aces across the board, right? Nobody else folded an ace?
There's definitely a chance, man. That last sweat was actually super close with the 2-5s. I actually thought he got there. That was one of the best ones I've seen so far. But man, Elio Fox, get it in.
Come on,
Elke,
ace.
Elke.
Just
Ready,
one
hot?
time, Elke. Just one time, Elke running out. Just,
Oh!
Yes, there's the ace. Elke spikes the ace on the flop. Makes two pair on the turn. Obviously, that doesn't change anything. Needs to avoid a queen. That's not paint. Elke with the double up through your guy. Nanonoko, that's what you get for being a terrible friend and not picking Elke to win the tournament. Well, if Elke opens here, there's a good chance that Elio Fox is going to get it in.
Yeah, of course. King Queen, I think, has got to go for it. Like, so the thing is, you got a hand, and you got to look around at the table, and you're like, wow, no one even has 1 million chips. I got to just go for it.
It is a bit scary though, because Elke has been passive so far at this final table, right? So maybe at this point, Elio Fox is like, oh man, what if he's got me absolutely dominated, ace king, ace queen?
Yeah, I understand that. The thing is, what are you waiting for? You don't have many chips left. Elke is still going to open some hands. You're coin flipping a lot, and you're ahead a decent amount too. Here we go.
Elke doesn't hesitate for a second and will receive the good news that A7 is in the lead for now. Can it hold? Oh my goodness.
God.
Elke running really hot at this point, drawing that on the turn just one time. Wow. Elke with some serious run good as we are now down to 5. And that is going to be the end of Elio Fox. He came in as chip leader, ends in 6th place, but when you get the nano curse on top of you, then it is hard to actually make a proper run. Yeah, but there's not too much you could have done about it. I actually like the way that...
Oh, Elke is running freaking hot. He's running so hot. Just don't emoji before the hand's over, Elke. Don't give away your hand.
I do feel sad. Like, I'm very happy for Elke. That is a great flop for him, but this is actually becoming brutal for Gravy Boat. All of his big hands just keep getting out flopped. It's actually kind of insane. And you remember what you said before? Eventually you have enough, right? Where you make correct fold, but it gets to you, and at one moment you just snap, and you're like, I'm not folding this one. And I have the feeling that this is the moment. Gravy Boat is going to go all in. I actually think he's just going to go all in here.
Well, I don't know if he'll go all in yet. He probably would just call, but like you said, like he's been folding these big pairs a lot, big hands. He might call down now.
No.
He's calling another turn bet, and Elke is going to have a ton of chips because Gravy Boat's had enough. The thing is also, as you keep making folds, obviously your stack size goes down. Then you start to be like, okay, if I fold now, I'm going to be left with like 10 big blinds. So no, I'm just calling it off and go for it.
And you know what also comes into play is that Elke has all of a sudden played 5 or 6 hands in a row, right? Like at this point, this is obviously something that Gravy Boat is very well aware of as well. He's like, I mean, this is like the Elke that became famous 15 years ago because he is aggressive and he likes to, you know, put pressure on people. But he's like, I've got a real hand this time. I've got queens. I don't think he can fold again. And I don't blame him. I don't think I can fold.
Gravy Boat is set up to lose more chips in this hand right now. Can Gravy Boat make just one more fold, Gravy Boat? Just one more fold. He can't do it right now. 1 million chips behind.
And that is a pretty brutal run out as well, because maybe if Elke was bluffing with 9-10 or 5-6, you know, then... Elke bet really quick there, by the way, on the river. Did you notice that?
Yeah, but you probably would follow through if you had a bluff. It probably doesn't matter that much. I wouldn't... something to think about, but Elke plays fast. Actually, he plays really fast in general. Regardless, Gravy Boat's in a tough spot. That's the thing. You got 2 queens. You're like, can I make one more good fold? And you know what he's thinking about too? Okay, I fold. What? I have 13. Oh my God, he's emoji mid-hand. Emoji mid-hand. We don't see that very often. He's trying to. No. He knows Gravy Boat is on the edge. It's just like he's been folding. You look at your. If I fold this hand, I'm left with 13 big blinds. Now my opponent just emojied me, and if I fold and get shown a bluff, that's going to look disastrous. There's a lot of things going through Gravy Boat's mind right now, and it's all bad.
I feel pretty rough for Gravy Boat. Like he has been having obviously a top 5 finish is really good in the high roller Super Millions, but he's been getting monsters, and he just has not been able to do anything with him, and it's pretty brutal to watch. I feel like we've all been there where you had this one run where you're like, I just can't win a hand tonight, can I? Let's see if he can find a fold deep down inside. He made a correct fold with kings. He made a correct fold with queens before. Can he do it again? Or does this man have a limit? And is enough enough? I think he's going to make the call. You know, there's only so much a man can take, Nanonoko.
Yeah, it's very bad. I mean, it's like we said, all the things. There's just so many reasons for him to call. The emoji thing does that possibly help Gravy Boat get away? I don't know. It just depends on how you interpret those things. It could really go both ways. Whatever happens in his hand, Elke's going to have like 4 million in chips minimum, which is obviously a ton of chips. These guys running hot, man. He's been coolering people so hard. I'm not cooler. He's been getting lucky, but now he's really cooler his opponent. Elke is just really running really hard. Can Gravy Boat get? You got 6 minutes. You might as well use them before you go out, right? Like just get max value for your time here in this tournament.
I still think he's gonna call. I think like right now he's going over everything. He's like, could have 9s, could have 10s, or maybe he would 3-bet those. It's like, does he really have an 8? What if he's just going YOLO with ace-7 or something like that? You know, a lot of things are possible here.
A nice
Gravy
Boat
does make the fold, man. That guy is playing a phenomenal final table, Nanonoko, and it's weird because he came in with way more chips than he has right now, but very, very well done by Gravy Boat. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. Elke just smooth calling 2 queens here in the small blind now. It's funny, his opponent just lost the 2 queens, and then he gets rewarded with the 2 queens. But he's going to play it slow, and the reason he's playing slow is it's a bit of an ICM thing. That's mainly he's in second place, fifth leader's opening, doesn't want to get it in. But his opponent does flop a flush draw, and I don't fault him because, you know, Gravy Boat's got 1 million chips, and yeah, seems fine.
Rebuy guy with his ace-high flush draw. Is he going to put in some chips? No, he does not. That is not a pleasant card for Elke. We know that he's still good, but you're going to be a little sad to see a king roll off on the turn there in a 3-way pot.
And, okay, it was very easy pot. It's just checking through, and I think Elke Schiffer goes for a little bit of value, and I like the bet sizing, actually. You don't want to bet too big. You just want to hope for some crying calls.
This time it's Gravy Boat with the jacks. And Elke.
Actually, tough spot. It's a very tough spot for King Queen. Yeah. It might just fold.
Because it's Sebastian behind him as well, right? Like that's also a bit scary.
And what's important is how much Sebastian behind him has. If Sebastian had like 15 big blinds, I think the King Queen can easily probably maybe make a call. But like with Sebastian with 27 big blinds behind, it's like if you reshove, Sebastian wakes up hand, it's actually really disastrous. King Queen, not that far ahead of a 10 big blind under the gun shove. But he's still going to make a call. I don't fault him, but I can see how a fold would have been just fine. And okay, do the running hot thing. Just queen it.
Oh. Well, running cold at this point. Drawing that on the turn. Not even a little bit of hope. No 9, no 10. And Gravy Boat with the double up. So he's back to 2.2 million. He finally gets paid off on one of his big hands.
Rebuy guy, Queen Jack suited. Hopefully he doesn't 3-bet jam because he'll be running today's king. Uh-oh.
What a flop. Elke does have the ace of hearts. Well, there's going to be a lot of chips in the middle here, one way or the other. There's no way that Rebuy guy folds here.
Oh,
and he
no.
makes the flush on the turn. Elke is drawing very slim at this point. He needs another heart on the river, or he's in all sorts of trouble. I think Elke is going to go all in, and Rebuy guy is going to call.
This is very bad news for Elke. Elke might... Oh, man. The question is, do you call or do you just jam? The thing is, you got 18 big blinds. He does make the call, and that's a bad river card, obviously. Rebuy guy will ship it in. I don't know if Elkie can fold. You got the ace of hearts. That's important because you do block some flushes, and your opponent is representing a flush.
Oh. I mean, Rebuy guy, like you said, hasn't been very out of line. He really has only been doing this with hands where he had it. He did lead into Elkie on the turn. So in a way, it is a pretty obvious flush, but it's so difficult to fold the ace-king here.
Yeah. King Jack offsuit 1 heart, but does King Jack splat the small blind? I don't know so much. That's a very nice fold from Elkie. Very nice.
Well done indeed. It does leave him a little crippled as Elkie now drops down to 14 big blinds. But at least he's still in the tournament. Very well done indeed. That's tough, man. With the ace of hearts as well, like, whew, that is one hell of a fold by Elkie.
Yeah. If you think about it, it is hard for a rebuy guy to be bluffing besides the king queen offsuit. I just don't think he's defending king jack offsuit from the small blind against Elkie in that spot. Very good hand reading from Elkie, but obviously a disaster result. And Chris Rudolph actually folded ace jack as well here. And wow, Elkie just lets go of the 10-9 mid pair. And this has been a disaster. It almost seems like those hands where he got ran hot just never happened because he's only got 1 million chips.
Don't ship it, Elkie. Don't do it.
It's real tempting. I don't fault him, man. Sebastian obviously gonna get in. But Elkie, man, he runs hot. He can find that jack. It's somewhere on the deck. Just gotta peel it out.
Yep. I don't believe any of the other 3 players had a jack. So can we get a jack? The flop doesn't really promise a whole lot of good. The turn doesn't change anything. It's a jack and a jack only for Elkie. Paint? Nope.
Oh, he did hit, but the wrong card.
Yeah. King is no good, and that means that Elkie will be eliminated in 5th place. And yeah, that's got to sting a little bit. 17 minutes ago, Elkie was the chip leader, and now he's out in 5th. That's how quick things can go at these final tables.
Yeah, no, I really like, and I like the people with the different lines too. And I think that makes it harder for his opponents to read him post flop. And I think right now that's the edge you want. And you got 2x chip lead almost, and I think you can put some pressure on, take some tricky lines, and just really continue to chip up because it does seem like these guys are kind of waiting each other out a bit, but trying to hang in there as well. In those situations, you can kind of raise a little bit more and take some pots.
Sebastian setting up the trap here, flop stop 2 pair, and he's gonna check it to Gravy Boat. Gravy Boat is like, what if I just put in a couple chips, 1 big blind? Oh my goodness, Sebastian makes a full house. He's definitely checking this one. After checking the flop, he's gonna be checking this turn. And he's like, all right, Gravy Boat, this is your moment. Take it away from me. I'm like, no, Gravy Boats, don't fall for the trap.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
He's thinking to bet 1 more time to try to get king high and ace highs to fold. Obviously not going to work. So Sebastian tried to play a little bit of Hollywood. Probably go for the check call. Don't really see why you would raise. Unless you're getting just a little bit greedy. But I would like to see a call. And
oh no, that is
Gravy Boat.
That is the worst card. That is the one card that Gravy Boat. He thought he wanted to see it, but he really didn't want to see it. Well, Nanonoko, I'm gonna pull a full Nanonoko, but that is it. Gravy Boat is eliminated from the tournament. I know he's still sitting at 2.8 million chips, but he ain't folding this. He's gonna bet big. Sebastian's gonna come over the top. What a horrible river card for Gravy Boat. Oh my goodness.
Exactly. Full Nanonoko did this. You're right. Big bet, all incoming. Wow. Sebastian's got me thinking, how did I get so much value with my hand? Wow, he's just feeling so good. Gravy Boat can't fold this hand either. It just can't. Because the truth is, Sebastian, say he's got ace jack, king jack, probably going to make the same play and bye-bye.
He's gonna snap off this one.
He can't keep folding. So the thing is, this hand actually is really good compared to the kings and queens, right? Yeah. And he's out.
Yeah, he's out. This one was inevitable. That is an absolutely brutal, horrible nightmare river card for Gravy Boat. He will be eliminated in 4th place. Walks away with $150,000 as ace-10 is going to go all in. I don't think, no, Rebuy guy can't call. Even though he would flop a set and he would win.
Yes, you're going to flop a set, Rebuy guy. If you've been watching the stream, you make the call. God, you flop the set. Flop that set. Flop that set. Flop it.
He's going to flop quads. Oh, well, the 4s is still good. Oh no, he needs to set right now. Rebuy guy with the pocket fours. He's like, I've been watching that stream. That is not a four.
We cursed him so hard. We
Oh.
cursed him so hard. He's just like, they always make a set. I'm going to show him. Maybe this one. I think this one, call off the king queen, in my opinion. I think it's, yeah, I think I'm calling off king queen here.
12 bigs. 13.
Not loving it, but not hating it.
Well, round 2 fight. Reba guy versus Sebastian. Needs a king or a queen. There's the king on the turn. That means Sebastian needs to see one of the last 3 aces. That could be an ace.
Oh my God.
Of course, it's an ace.
Why give him the king if you're going to do the dirty to him like that on the river card?
Well, that is going to be it for Reba guy, as he is eliminated in 3rd place. Walks away with $193,000.
But that's all right.
Action flop. Sebastian makes a gut shot and middle pair. Chris Rudolph flops the open-ended straight draw.
It's a big bet, but queen 9 shouldn't be going anywhere.
I think Chris is going to bet again. Yeah, I think Chris is going to bet. I don't think anybody predicted 10-5 offsuit to be the winning hand today. So this is where the Twitter contest participants are like, no!
It's a big bet, but queen 9 shouldn't be going anywhere.
I'm feeling this hand. I think Chris is going to bet again. Yeah, I think Chris is going to bet. I don't think anybody predicted 10-5 offsuit to be the winning hand today. So this is where the Twitter contest participants are like, no! No 7 or queen. Imagine a queen on the river.
Yeah, that'd be nasty. It's a 1.5x overpot. It's a big overbet. It's a tough spot for queen 9. Especially if you haven't seen too many overbets from Chris Rudolph so far throughout this whole final table. You don't know what to make of it. If he makes a correct call, nice. Wow, if Sebastian can get just a check through on the river, he's back. But, man, Chris Rudolph, this is a good card to continue firing if you're bluffing.
Yeah. I think Chris is going to go for it, man. 4.2 million in the middle. These guys don't give up in a heads-up match. High rollers, super millions. I think he's like, you know what? You're probably calling me with some week 9, some week 8, or maybe you had a pair and a draw as well. If I fully send it on this river, it's so difficult for Sebastian to call.
Exactly. Exactly right. Wow. This is the hand defining of this heads-up match no matter what. Because Sebastian calls, obviously, it's great. If he folds, it also would have been the call to just take down this tournament. Man, that ace of diamonds is so bad. Because,
what a 6 spot.
People are going to overbet the turn with flush draws, and they're going to obviously go for value when they get there. He beats 10 X's. He beats 2 clubs. Probably would play this way. I don't know. It's just all around a bad spot. Sebastian, unlikely to have the ace. Something to think about because, given the pre-flop action, he can't have ace-jack with a re-raise. He can't have 2 8s and 2 9s and 2 jacks. Like, Sebastian hand actually looks pretty weak in general. So he's thinking about it. And he's thinking, my hand looks weak. Maybe I can make a call when I think about it. But it's all around a tough spot.
It is a disgusting spot. Because I think it's one of these moments where Sebastian's like, I think I'm good. But do I really want to call off my tournament live and the chance of taking down $321,000? If you guys are new to the High Roller Super Millions, there's no deal making at these final tables. So they really are playing for almost, $70,000, $80,000 difference. What a big moment for Sebastian. Keep an eye on the time clock, guys. He only has 40 seconds left, and then I think he has 5 more additional seconds. But that's it. He's really thinking about it. Oh, he makes the call.
God.
What a call.
Amazing.
What a call by Sebastian. That's beautiful. Oh, my goodness.
That is a hell of a call. Wow, that is amazing. And he's a commanding chip lead. Chris Rudolph went for that bluff, man. That's really nice.
Well, it seems like we have a rather unfortunate update from the production, and it seems that there was a bug where they couldn't actually record the final hand. So there was no way to show you guys the conclusion of this heads-up match. We truly apologize for that, and that's obviously very sad for us as well, because we would have liked to see how this tournament unfolded. But we do have the final result for you guys. And that is that Sebastian did manage to close this one out. So he will walk away with $321,000. And apparently Chris Rudolph is the runner-up for tonight. Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the High Rollers Super Millions. It is the 22nd week already that we will be bringing you guys live coverage of the final table. My name is Kevin de Kooi, also known as Rotterdam, and I am joined as always by the one and only Nanonoko, or should I say Nanono? Because that's how you were referred to during the DNAX challenge. I don't know if you caught that, but your name was brought up a couple times and it wasn't Nanonoko.
Yeah, Daniel has never gotten my name correctly ever, which is pretty funny. He's like Nanoko, I don't know, just everything funny. It's all about the Daniel Negreanu Doug Poke challenge. I'm sure everyone who's watching the stream right now knows about that challenge, has been following it. And they've been airing on YouTube every single time so far, is that right?
Yep, that is correct. And we are actually only on YouTube today as well. This show is normally on Twitch and then we upload it on YouTube, of course. But today we are live on YouTube. So hello, YouTube audience. And obviously, this is the place to be right now because this is where you can follow that entire challenge. So far, they've had one live session, which went fantastic for Daniel. Then they've had 2 online sessions, which, well, let's just say went a little less great for Daniel. But to be fair, Nanonoko, do you think Daniel has been straight up outplayed or has he also been running a little bit cold?
I do think as of right now, he's maybe a bit outplayed, but it's kind of a bit of both. It does seem like in some of the big pots, he's been getting the worst of it. But then again, he's kind of forced some action in some spots. I'm sure whoever is coaching him a little bit is kind of like telling him, okay, you need to fix these things, you need to adjust. I feel like there was one really big pot. I think most players, people who are following the match know about it. He had like 9-7 against 2 aces, 8-5-8. And it was such a big pot because it's not like, oh, you dusted off one bullet on that one. It was like a 2 buy-ins he lost. I think he lost $70,000 to $80,000 in that hand alone. It was such a. I think he's got to make some adjustments. I know he knows that. Right now, though, it is all Doug Poke, and that's the thing. If you've been a heads-up specialist for now, you know how to capitalize on people who don't play heads-up as much. Daniel obviously doesn't play heads-up that much. He studied a bit before. Don't think he put in as much work as he did as Doug Poke before his match started. So I would just love to see Daniel just really put in a lot of homework and actually probably play some side matchups on the side because you got to you can study all you want, but you need to actually put it into practice to kind of get work it and get better.
Well, in the interviews, the spirit still seems very high with Daniel, so that's great to hear. And I'm obviously looking forward to the next editions. You guys can follow all of that here. Just make sure you follow the channel, then you get notified for it. And we'll talk more, perhaps a little bit about the Heads Up Challenge later on. For now, of course, it is time to focus on the High Rollers Super Millions. If you guys are not familiar with this show, it's very simple. On Sunday evening, we run a $10,300 buy-in event. Everybody can play. Obviously, there's satellites running for it as well. And they play all the way down to the final 9. And then the final 9 we cover here live on Tuesday. This week, we actually had a massive field because it's High Roller Week over at GGPoker. Well, normally we get around 150, 155 signups. This time, the guaranteed prize pool was doubled. So it was a 3 million guaranteed event. And we had 291 entries, which means, well, the top 9 already made a pretty awesome payday. And we always spend roughly 25 to 30 minutes at the beginning of the show to just go over the 9 players that have made it to the final table. And we also take a look at some of the hands they have played. But yeah, Nanonoko, 291 entries for this one. It's a big one.
Yeah, I'm looking at the payouts, right? First place is going to pay $628,000, right? It's a lot more than what we normally pay out. It's obviously a big one. That's why we're going to see some new names that you won't see. I mean, we always get new names, but even more new names today at this final table, but some familiar faces. Whenever there's more money, it gets me a little bit excited, right? Because it makes you like play. If you're the players, you're going to play a little bit harder. There's a little bit more money on the top. And every week's been fun with you, Roddy. Just casting, learning new players, watching players make sick moves, sick folds, all this stuff. I'm pretty excited today.
You know what's really cool as well is that we're definitely not the only ones who have been having fun. I have played a ridiculous amount of poker this week over at GG, and almost every Neil tournament, Neil table, I at least get one or two guys that are like, "Hey man, I'm loving the show with Nanonoko. Keep it up," and it's really fun to watch every Tuesday. So that's really cool to see as well. That it's not just people who like poker that watch it, but it's also the guys who play poker all the time. That they also really just look forward to the high roller Super Millions just like we do. So that's a lot of fun. I'd say let's not wait any longer. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the 9 players that have made it to the final table of the 22nd edition of the High Roller Super Millions. If we can take a look at the man who comes in as chip leader tonight, that would be fantastic. And it's one hell of a chip leader, Nanonoko. Carl Mannert, this is the very first time he has played in a High Roller Super Millions. It's obviously a really big one because we had 291 entries, and he comes in as chip leader immediately. He did fire 3 bullets to get here, but hey, that seems like a pretty good investment up to this point.
Well, you know, like, see, the thing is, when we have these special tournaments with double the guarantee, like WSOP, the Battle of Malta, right, and a High Roller Series, these are special Super Millions comes out, you know? And in these Super Special Millions, new players join. Guys that probably didn't realize this tournament existed. This guy, first time coming in as chip leader, he's probably going to start playing this every single week from now on. You know, I don't know this guy actually, but I'm sure like he's like, oh man, why didn't I start playing this tournament earlier if I'm going to be chip leader coming in the very first time I play it?
Well, the first time he played, he was dedicated though, because not many people sign up for a tournament for the first time and then fire 3 bullets immediately, right? This is a 10K buy-in. But Carl Mannert was a man on a mission, and well, so far it's working out for him as he comes in tonight with 42 big blinds. So he's not like an overwhelming chip leader like we've seen in some of those previous weeks. Well, obviously 6 million chips is nothing to scoff at. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Carl Mannert had on his journey to his very first final table, the first time he played this event. And this one didn't really help him, Nanonoko, but I'm sure you'll find this a rather interesting hand.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a blind versus blind spot, and you're going to bet your top pair, and you're going to bet your turn, and you know, it's like the other guy just kept on trying to trap him. You know, he flopped the flush. Could he got more value as an opponent? I'm not too sure, but you know, you do need to be a little bit scared, of course, when that overcard comes. And, you know, just because you had top pair on the flop doesn't mean you need to go for 3 streets. Sometimes we need to look for opportunities to go for a 2-street game or maybe even a 1-street game, because on these scary boards, you know, of course your opponent can always flop a flush. But here, I would say, you know, it seems pretty standard in my opinion. And, you know, somehow he's the chip leader. Maybe he made some other sick moves.
Well, I mean, obviously could have lost more here, but you're right. I think 3 streets with just top pair, and obviously the kicker is not that great. Perhaps it makes sense. This hand didn't help him, but he's still the chip leader tonight. So let's see if we can find out some more information when the cards actually go up in the air, which is in 22 minutes from now. Let's take a look at our second player that has made it to this final table. And there is a trend tonight, and that's apparently if you put a 5 in your nickname, you run great in the High Roller Super Millions. Because this man comes in as second. We obviously don't know that much about him. I stay on 5. He has played in 11 of these so far, so he plays in 50% of the events that we have run. This is only the 3rd time he has cashed, and other than a very good run in the biggest one we've had so far on September 8th at the World Series of Poker, High Roller Super Millions Special Edition, he hasn't done that great so far, Randy.
I mean, yeah, he almost final tabled previously. I'm looking at his avatar. I'm trying to figure out who it is. I feel like it's Elis Parsinen in like a monkey outfit Photoshop. Maybe he thinks he plays like a monkey. I'm not sure. Maybe some people who are watching can kind of figure it out. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna get new faces to reach in our final tables. This guy apparently plays high rollers regularly, so. Based on his results, he plays all the like those side events, 5K blades, 10K PLO side events. So he's just all around high roller, and he's coming in 2nd place today. And he thinks potentially Elis Parsinen is a monkey.
Well, comes in with 30 big blinds. Let's see what he can do with that at this final table. He's obviously indeed very familiar with him. If you take a look at his GGPoker results so far, a 2nd place, a 1st place. So you know what he's getting himself into. Let's take a look at one of the hands that I stay on 5 had. That definitely helped him on his journey to his very first final table here in the High Roller Super Millions. Queens against eights, I would say relatively standard, but still a pretty awesome value bet on the river. But what do you make of it?
To me, in this hand, I look at it. It's quite interesting because obviously 2 queens is usually a hand you could get all the chips in pre-flop. Maybe he was a bit cautious here because you can see he raised and called a 3-bet with 2 queens, and he called the flop, and then when he got checked him on the turn, he decided to check back. Jack 10-6-4, like, of course he could be behind his 3-bet pot, could be up against aces and kings, but you can see that he opted to take more of a passive line, maybe try to contain the pot, make sure he doesn't get check raise all in or whatnot. And then when he got checked him again, he decided to go for the value bet on this board and did get looked up by 2 8s, so very light call from his opponent. But the point I want to say is that it does look like he's being a little bit cautious here, because it's a hand, 1, he could have got in pre-flop, 2, he could have bet that turn. So does that mean that maybe at this final table he might play a little bit more cautious? Maybe. I don't know much about this guy's play, but that's the first thing I'll think about. Even though he is coming in second place, if he's going to continue to play like this, then maybe he's that type of guy. Like, let me try to lock up that top 4 first, and then maybe make some moves.
Well, since we have 291 entries, I actually think that would be a pretty decent approach for this one, because the payout for the top 4s is obviously going to be very big. Let's take a look at our next player that has made it to the final table tonight. And like I said, put a 5 in your name, and apparently you run good. Fab5, Fabulous 5 perhaps, has made it to this final table. It's the very first time that he has made it to a final table of the High Roller Super Millions. He has played in 7 of these before, though. This is only the 2nd time he's cashed. I don't think we can really say much more than that, right, Randy?
No, he's from Brazil. That's all you need to know, right? He's from Brazil. He's made 2 cashes. Hasn't had that any good results since. That's a sign of this is my time. This is my time to 3-bet you of some garbage, triple barrel bluff, do some Bruno Volkmann. Who knows? These Brazilians. If I ever had a choice between a bunch of unknown players, I would just look. Oh, who's from Brazil? That's my pick, because he's either gonna ship it or get last place.
Well, let's take a look at one of the hands that Fab5 had on his journey to his final table. Maybe that will tell us a little more. I went over this hand before the show started, and I was like, actually kind of crazy. And I have to admit, I was a little bit lost. I'm obviously not the High Roller Super Millions or the High Roller expert over here. What do you make of this hand, Nana?
I agree with you. I'm a little bit lost, but let's walk through the hand. So he flats the King Jack offsuit in the small blind. Then he bets out his top pair. It is 3-way going into the flop, so this makes sense to more taking the betting lead. He kind of expecting more checks, don't want to let it check through. Then on a turn, he decides to play more passively and does a check call. But I don't understand the river bet. I think the river bet is quite interesting because it's kind of like his line doesn't make sense of what he want to do a little bit. It's kind of like, well, I want to bet for value on the flop. Then I want to play cautious. Then I want to turn into a bluff. It's kind of like he's done everything in one hand somehow. On the river, though, I don't know if it's a value bet, and I don't know if it's a bluff. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I would imagine it's probably. I would think he can never get called by worse here. I don't think a King 10's looking you up here, unless it's King 10 of diamonds, and then you're smoked. It just doesn't. It doesn't make that much sense. But I'll tell you this. It doesn't really make much sense for him to have a bluff here too, because if you think about it, for someone to bet this flop, check call to turn and randomly bet the river, they're not going to check call to turn like a 10 jack no diamonds, queen jack no diamonds, queen 10 no diamonds. So what draw is there really? And the answer is none. So if you don't know this player too much, you're probably going to make some pretty big folds here. I wouldn't be surprised if like ace king or king queen would fold to this river bet, because if I don't know him, I'm just going to think, how is he possibly bluffing? I can't think of any hand.
Well, I'm glad that you're going through the same motions as I had when I was going over this hand, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay away from this one and let Nanonoko do the talking, because I'm just not sure what's happening over here. Well, that does make us very excited, obviously, to see how he plays some of the other hands tonight. Let's take a look at our next players. We have 5 more players to cover in the next 16 minutes. Arguably, possibly the biggest name we have at our final table tonight, Timothy Adams. He is 2nd on the all-time Canadian money list, 20th worldwide. I mean, this man has pretty much done it all, hasn't he?
Yeah, he hasn't done shit in the Super Millions yet, I'll tell you that. But now he's coming in 4th place today in the Super Millions. He's played 19 times, so he's at least in for 200K, right? And he's cashed for 40K so far. So he needs one of those top spots to profit in the Super Millions. But he's one of the best players in town. When I was in my prime, I'm not in my prime, nowhere near my prime anymore. I was obviously doing very well, multi-tabling, a lot of tables, right, mid-stakes. Timothy Adams was the one doing it on FTP back then, and he was the other guy, but on a different site, who was just multi-tabling a lot, making a lot of money. So I'm very familiar with Timothy Adams, and I think he's very good, very solid. Obviously transitioned into tournaments like most of these cash game guys, because it's easy money, man, if you're good at the game and you just play a lot. Not for me, but for other guys is, and he's very good. He's got some big 6 scores in high roller tournaments. I really like this guy. He's going to do good, and he also got a good mindset. He's like very well fit, things like this. He doesn't tilt. Like my money's really looking at this guy today.
All right. Well, he comes in with 24 big blinds, so he definitely has a decent stack, but there's not too much room for errors. But I don't think Timothy is going to make too many. Let's hope the cards go his way. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Timothy Adams had on his journey to his very first proper run in the High Roller Super Millions, as he did attempt to have one quite a few times. Didn't really work out up to this point. This is a very fun one as well. Nano, I'll let you do the talking.
Yeah, so in this spot, he 3-bets with the ace-jack offsuit. A lot of good regs would do this. And he bets very, very tiny on the flop on the king, king, queen. Seems reasonable. You want to go for a small bet on this kind of a flop because, you want to get called when you got the ace-king. Of course, when you got some bluffs, you want to bet the same size as you would. Checks the turn when he hits his ace. On the river, it's a 9. He goes for a check. His opponent puts a big shove on her, all in for his tournament life. He makes the call of just ace-jack here and was up against 2 5s. And it's a pretty big hero call here, in my opinion. But the thing is, if you think about it, his opponent, his line doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's kind of like, shouldn't he bet the turn if he's got a king a lot? Jack 10, wouldn't he bet the turn? So his opponent is actually representing, I want to say, king, queen, and 2 9s exactly. But the thing is, king, queen, sometimes these guys, they bet the turn a little bit. 2 9s, maybe they don't even call it a flop. Who knows? Like it just doesn't really make that much sense. So that's why the ace jack was able to make this call. I think if this guy Alex maybe made a turn bet, maybe shove the river, his line would be more credible. Would it work? I don't know. But given the way you can't make these funny bluffs against these cash game regs, they'll just eat you alive.
Do you think it helped that he has a jack in his hand as well, so he's not worried about a jack 10 hand, or you don't think that really matters on this board?
Normally, yes. That's how you would approach the things on what hands to bluff catch with. But the fact that his opponent checked the turn, I just discount the Jack 10 so much more. Of course, his opponent could be afraid of Ace King, but most players would still bet Jack 10 on the turn. But it does matter, actually. Yeah, it is important now that I think about it, because I guess Jack 10 would check the turn sometimes. So you do block that hand, and that's what you need to think about. Does your hand block the hands that your opponent is representing? If it does, then you lean towards call a little bit more.
Alrighty. Well, we've got to speed up a little bit, because in 12 minutes we will be watching live poker, and we've got 5 more players to cover. Obviously, the stacks get smaller and smaller, but we still want to do them justice. Let's take a look at our next player. As we know, it is Philippe. He's back. This is the second time that Philippe has made it to a final table. He sold 50% apparently of this run to Amy Barrer, who I had on my left, by the way, the other day when I played a tournament and a no-call. A nightmare, okay? I avoided him at all costs. But yeah, that's actually kind of funny. He hasn't done... he has only played 4 times. So 4 times, 2 final tables? That's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's cool to see Take Chip back. Take Chip is a cash game, high-stakes reg from back in the day. I used to play with him a lot. I haven't seen him for a long time. I'm talking about years and years. And then the last time we saw him at the final table, he actually satellited into this event. I believe might have been through $100 or a 1K. He's got the money to play it, but he doesn't normally play tournaments, so that's why he's satelliting in. Decides to sell action, 50% action. Ami Barra bought all of it, 1.13. He sold 50% to one guy who plays in our Super Millions. So it's funny, you're playing the Super Millions. You bought it for 10K, and then you're in for another 5K because you bought action with someone else. And he got at least 5th place. And Ami Bear knows where the value is. Take Chip, obviously, he doesn't play tournaments that much, but he's a sick cash game player. If you recall, he was the one, he got 5th place in the tournament that Ole Shemian won, because I remember they being involved in some hands together. He's very good. Does he play tournaments as much as others? No. So does that mean he's going to understand ICM as much? My guess is no. But that doesn't mean he's not good. He might actually, most of these days though, everyone does know about ICM and stuff like this, so I don't want to say he's a tournament fish or anything. I think this guy is a very good player in general though.
Playing 4 times and making it to 2 final tables, and especially this one, as our field is almost twice the size as it is most of the time, is very impressive. He comes in with 27 big blinds. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Philippe, also known as Take Chip, had on his journey to his final table. A lot of action pre-flop, and then we just kind of, we made one bet on the flop and then went check, 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 check. Do you like this hand, Nano?
I like the hand. I think you could debate on betting the turn. Betting the turn is fine, but a lot of guys, they get a little cautious with 2 9s and 2 10s themselves. So it makes sense for him to check the turn. I don't think I'd bet the river either. I guess if I was to bet, I would ideally bet the turn because you deny your opponent equity that they might just fold a hand like, Queen Jack, stuff like that, to get a free chance to beat you. But I think that it's fine to play a little bit cautious. If I recall correctly, at the final table last time, he was cautious in some spots, but then, he was aggressive in others. So, it's going to take a different approach than some of these other guys at this final table today. But in general, it does seem this was far in the tournament. It does make sense to not get too out of line and just try to, show down some medium strength hands.
All right, 3 more players to cover for 9 minutes. So let's get it on. Let's take a look at our next player. And I have to admit, we already see him here, actually, at the previous hand. Elis Parsinen. Obviously, my Finnish accent is not very good. Formerly known as Jacko. He has played in 7 High Roller Super Millions so far. This is his 3rd cash, so that's actually a pretty good record as well. Only his 1st final table, but it's obviously hard to make final tables. I get excited when we get Finnish guys at the final table, Nanonoko, because I feel like they're always solid and just make a lot of correct decisions in these big spots.
Well, he's a Portland Omaha master. Is he going to know how to play no limit? I don't know, man. Like, these PLO guys, they see no limit hands and they see other things that other people don't. They obviously like to use blockers and stuff like this, so they're going to do very well with GTO spots, I think, in no limit hold'em. I don't know, but I'm sure he's very good. He's a master, right? So it's not like we're saying he's a PLO player that. But here is this. I'm not sure what casino that is, but it looks pretty nice venue there, and we'll see what he's got today.
Let's take a look at one of the hands that our Finnish man had on his journey to his final table. I think this one is pretty straightforward. Kings getting it in against the flush draw, and the Kings survived. Is there anything else to really take away from this, Nano?
Well, I mean, PLO players know how to play 2 kings, I'll tell you that. It's so much easier to play 2 kings and no limit hold'em than PLO, for sure. 2 kings in PLO, you're like, God damn it, just flop me a set. Otherwise, I don't know what to do. Board comes like 9-7-4, some crap. You're like, oh man, they probably got 2 pair. But I'll just tell you, in this hand, he did have the 2 kings, but the thing that's interesting is that he decided to go for the check raise as the pre-flop raiser. Some guys like to just auto c-bet, but with this action, it's tricky because you can't be like, oh, he checked to me. He never has a top pair. This guy has an over pair.
All right, let's take a look at our next 3 players, as we got to speed up for real right now. This is a player that I think we can keep this intro rather short. We don't know much about him. Goldfish 55. He has played in 3 High Roller Super Millions so far. This is the first time he has cashed. This is the first final table. If we take a look on his GGPoker results, though, we can see that he has played in a couple of other High Rollers. But yeah, we don't know much here. There's not much to work with, Nanonoko.
Yeah, total winnings in Super Millions cashes, $0. That's their best statistic. This guy, maybe he actually is a goldfish. We don't know, man. But these wild cards, you never know. They sometimes they surprise and sometimes they disappoint.
Well, let's take a look at one of the hands that Goldfish had in this tournament so far. And These are also not the
Woohoo.
hands that we normally see. Nanonoko's already laughing. All right, Nano, take it away.
No, I'm not really laughing. It's just, you see these two hands, right? Usually we see in our replays, we got ace king, the king queens, and
Yeah.
stuff like this. Is like 10-5 suited, 5-4 suited. It must be blind versus blind. No, it's not blind versus blind. What's going on? Actually, in this hand, it's 5-4 suited, raising. It looks like in relatively early position. Gets 3-bet by the 10-5 suited of a Brazilian guy. I tell you, these Brazilian guys are crazy. And his opponent bet jams, and man, it's a nice flop for 5-4, and it's a great turn. And then your opponent just keeps betting into you. Just keep smooth calling. Let your opponent hang himself, and he definitely hung himself to 10-5 suited.
I mean, I want to see Goldfish just play some more 5-4 tonight. You know, that's just the way to do it, apparently. All right, let's take a look at our second to last player who has made it to this final table. And we've got an Estonian. We don't see too many Estonian players make it to these final tables. He apparently won one of the Bounty Hunter Series events as well, the very first one. He has played in 10 high rollers Super Millions so far, but this is the first time we see him make it to the final table. Super Millions winning so far 17k. If you played in 10 of them, Nanonoko, you kind of hope for a big score tonight.
You know, we've had a lot of guys actually today, right? They don't have that much earnings coming into Sunday Millions. Some of them is their first time playing. Some of them they played a lot and they're down money, but they're looking for the top score. A lot of these guys today, they're chasing their Super Million losses right now, but they're all going to be at least break even, I think, or doing better. That's pretty cool. Again, we've got a lot of guys we don't know about today at this final table, probably because you said the guarantee has been doubled. New faces. Some of these guys are not new faces. They're just getting deeper. But with a larger field, you're expecting to not see the same names as much. Even Timothy Adams, right? He's a guy who we expect to see at this final table by now. He hasn't because he's been getting destroyed, but obviously a very good player. So, yeah, I think we do have someone who's reached our final. We'd have Take Chip who's reached our final table before, and
Yes.
I think there's one more guy coming up soon.
Yeah, he's coming up next. All right, let's take a look at one of the hands that Peter Pan had on his way to this final table. As we can see, the Queen 10 suited. I want to say flops the world. It's pretty close to flopping the world, right? You don't have it all yet, but there's so much potential. I think it's pretty... I'm actually surprised that he checked that flop. Maybe he's just checking to...
And these guys like to check raise now, you know what I mean? Like we saw the two kings do it earlier. Yeah, it looks like he did decide to check into pre-flop raise. It's pretty tricky. Do you ever like flop like a straight flush and you just bet the flop and they fold or something? You're just like, oh, I kind of want to see that turn card. Like you obviously you want folds, right? When you have a draw, but then like a party's a little sad because you didn't get a little bit of action. Maybe if you got a little action junkie in you, that's how you think about poker. But that's what I see here. I'm like, oh wow, we got a lot of talk about, like a lot of turn cards, river cards, what to do. Maybe the opponent calls with these hands. It's like, oh, he just folded. Never mind.
Well, obviously when the turn bet did go through, his opponent just folded, and that makes you sad because you're like, well, one more. I would have liked to see that 9 of clubs roll off, or anything. Any club would have obviously done it, but still, well done by Peter. That means that it's going to bring us to our last player. We've got 2 minutes, and that's pretty perfect timing. He's back. Again, this man cannot get enough of the high roller Super Millions. He has played in 20 out of 22 so far. So this is just becoming part of his Sunday at this point. He has cashed in 14 of them, and he's now made 4 final tables. Is that a record amount of final tables tied with Michael Adamo? Because I think Michael made it to 4 final tables as well.
I believe we had someone else, maybe like less than 5 people have made 4 final tables for sure. Maybe like 3 or 4 guys. Regardless, not only is 4 final tables impressive, and he did get a 2nd, 4th, and 7th, which is pretty good, I would say, for 4 final tables so far. He also has 14 cashes. That's insane in such a tough field. Like you're not supposed to be cashing over 50% of the time. He somehow does it. We all know Stevie Chidwick's very good. We know he's very aggressive. We know he makes big call downs. Still cashes 14 times in 4 final tables. It's impressive. But today, he's coming in last place. He needs a lot of help. If he hasn't won it by now, though, I don't know if he's going to win it today. Try to ladder up today, Stevie.
Don't be like that, Nanonoko. All right, let's bring up the hand real quick that Stevie Chidwick had in this edition of the High Roller Super Millions. A good old King 7 goes for the check raise on the flop and just gets it all in there on the turn. Do you like it, Nano?
I mean, like after you check raise this flop, you just got to ship it in. You only got 11 big blinds remaining. Just hope your opponent doesn't have it. Does he get a better hand to fold here? Occasionally. Yeah, you get the king 8 to fold. Makes sense. The king 10 sometimes. But, you know, in this hand, he was against Timothy Adams, the other big name at this final table. Yeah, it's pretty interesting because a lot of guys would go for the check call, or something like this. But, you know, Stevie Chid was like, I need to just shut down this pot as soon as possible with my certain stack size.
Well, we have been live for 30 minutes, and that means that it is time to actually just watch some poker. Going over play intros is fun. Seeing who these guys are is always a little bit interesting as well. Seeing a couple of the hands is a really fun part, and I love hearing your thoughts about it. But this is obviously what we are really here for here. Some live action of the 22nd final table of the High Roll is Super Millions. We are witnessing what Nanonoko calls the most important part of the final table, the seed selection. Let's see if anybody times out. Nano, you expecting anything wild here?
Some dude just timed out. I think it was Peter Pan. Well, definitely not picking Peter Pan tonight to win this Super Millions. Man, you just cannot time out. You can at least say I declined to switch, but even the people who decline to switch doesn't do too well. Like, just switch with somebody.
All right, since we are witnessing this, I think there's a couple of things I'd like to mention, but let's just get our little battle out of the way. I'll give you the honors then, Nanonoko. Tell me who you pick and why did you pick Mr. Timothy Adams?
I am picking Timothy Adams, correct? Like I said, I played with this guy a lot. Man, this guy's won millions in just mid-stakes cash games alone. It's he's the crusher. He plays cash games. He knows how to play tournaments. He's done well in them. He's got a good mindset, very well fit. You know, you just keep himself playing his best all the time in a good network of high stakes players. He's gonna do good. There's only one thing I don't like about Timothy Adams. That is the worst avatar he could ever pick. Just green teal, just color. But he's my pick today. Who's yours?
His green screen isn't working. That's, you know, he tried to make it awesome. He's like, oh no, mess up the settings. You know, I have been playing a lot of PLO over the last 2 weeks, and I love what you said about the kings in PLO because that's exactly what I have every single time I get kings. I'm like, just don't know what to do. Why am I playing these stakes? I'm clueless. Anyway, I'll go for Elis. Obviously, I don't know much about him, but he comes in with 3 million chips. A lot of these PLO guys, they do like to gamble. They like to get it in there. And I've got a good feeling about the Finnish players in general, so I'll go with a little bit of an underdog. He's not just a PLO crusher, he's a PLO master. And if you're a master in Nanonoko, then I think you're just going to steamroll this final table.
Yeah, you know, a master is a very good rank in chess, right? But he's not a PLO grandmaster, you know, he's only a master. So there's still one more tier to go up. He's not going to win it today, but I do like what you say. These PLO guys, they're willing to fight a bit more. I'll tell you this, though. Kyle Maynard, our chip leader, he's got position on Stevie Chidwick, but Chidwick's so short. But the thing is, he just let his seat selection expire just now. And that just makes me sad, knowing that the guy coming as chip leader doesn't change seats. They always get disaster. They get 5th place and stuff. I know some of the guys in chat are probably thinking, man, who's this fishy commentator talking about not seat select? I'm telling you, you got to be superstitious in some spots because, you know, it makes poker fun, but sometimes it might just be true. Why not just switch?
All right, I know a lot of you guys don't just enjoy the poker, but are here for giveaways as well. We've got a whole bunch of giveaways. I'll keep you guys updated about them. We're going to give away 15 tournament tickets in total, or about 10 satellite tickets, and then 5 main tournament tickets for the Battle of Malta. More about that soon. And of course, as every single week, there is a Twitter contest. So as we have maybe Stevie Chidwick, it's not necessary, right? He doesn't have to do this. No.
Got the King Jack. It's interesting because some guys will go for just a fold. Some guys will just ship it all in. Some guys will min raise here. And Stevie Chid was thinking, look, don't want to fold this hand. I'm not that weak. But I don't want to jam it because, you know, it's a final table. So I think the raise is fine, and we'll see what Fab 5 does. You know, I would say, based on the pre-show so far, I think Fab 5 is the guy that's going to be the most adventurous, do some crazy moves. I'm very interested to see how Fab 5 plays. I know that King Jack hand we read was like a little bit kind of interesting, but I think I would love to see him just put people to the sickest test, for all the chips, and then get them to fold or whatever.
Well, he is thinking about it, and he is actually just gonna ship
Nice.
it all in with the A7 offsuit, and Stevie Chidwick is now gonna go for the fold. Whew, that really hurts though, because that is 2 big blinds of his already very small stack. So Stevie Chidwick was already at the bottom of this table when it comes to the amount of big blinds he had. He's now even shorter. Our chip leader picks up pocket kings. Maybe that C did bring him some luck, Nana.
Maybe it did, but I'd say this: that's obviously the flip side. Some people are like, oh, with 10 big blinds, maybe you just put a raise in, they won't play back at you unless they've got it. But you can see Fab Five actually did play back at Stevie Chidwick, read into, look, if you got 2 8s, are you really just going to min raise here? It looks like you either got 2 aces, 2 kings, or you got some hand that's just going to fold to a shove. And the thing is, we know it's way more likely to get the non-aces and kings than those hands that are going to just fold.
And it's very hard as well to call the all-in there with a marginal hand. When you play this tournament for your entire Sunday, play till deep into the night, or probably deep into the evening for Stevie Chidwick, because he's obviously in Canada. And then it's like, first hand, you get King Jack. It's like, is this really the poker story that I want to share? It's like, oh yeah, I waited 2 days to get it in with King Jack. And lost against A7 offsuit against the Brazilian who put me all in. It's a bit tricky. Next round, we do see I stay on 5, opening it up with King Jack offsuit as well. Peter Pan, one of the shortest stacks at this final table as well. It's got Queen Jack, and he's going to get it all in. What a play.
Wow. Yeah, it's actually, we're seeing some nice reshoves from the big blind so far that some of these other guys we've seen in previous weeks just call, see a flop, just check fold, well, take chips, got 2 kings. But you know how you mentioned earlier, there's a bunch of 5s, which is funny because there's 3 guys with a 5 in their name. And there's a bunch of 5s in people's hands. There's 5s everywhere. I'm a little bit surprised you didn't pick someone with a 5 today after you mentioned that. Today, you just clearly, you feel like you cursed your guy Elis here, you didn't pick a 5.
I'm not too worried. This Finnish dude's, he's gonna be like the European. He's gonna fold a couple rounds, and then eventually he'll find his spot. And if he gets the double up, I think he will be able to bring the fire. I do think that Philip would have probably be an excellent pick as well, since he has played this 4 times and has made 2 final tables. He may not be a tournament rag, but he clearly knows what the hell he's doing. Before we go over this round real quick, guys, of course, there's still the Twitter contest giveaway. If you don't follow GGPoker official on Twitter yet, please do that as soon as possible. You don't have to do it for me or for GG, but do it for yourself, because we run a $600 jackpot giveaway every single week. And all you have to do is guess the winning hand of the evening. And last week, I kind of guessed the winning hand, but I didn't include suits. You do have to include the suits as well. But yeah, it seems pretty awesome. You spend 2 seconds on just writing 2 random cards with the suits, and then potentially you walk away with a little jackpot. What do you think is going to be the winning hand tonight, Nanonoko?
9-8 suited spades. I don't know. Just felt like picking something not high cards today. It's gonna be a post flop day today. Did you pick anything? I didn't actually enter the contest, but yeah, I'm going 9-8 suited.
I'm going with King 8 offsuit. The King of clubs and the 8 of spades.
Okay, look. We're not playing a flop right now, okay? We're playing the last hand of the final table, not the current hand. Yeah, King 8 would be the nuts right now.
No. Once upon a time, I played a little 9-man sit and go with other gamers. We got invited to an event and we played live. And I won that 2nd edition of the little pro gamer sit and go. And I won it with King 8. So I got a little trophy with the King and the 8. And I was like, you know what? Now that I see a King and an 8 on the flop, that's going to be the winning hand. Wow. Look at Philippe. He's not messing around tonight. 1.3 million. He's going to put Stevie Chidwick all in here. And, Stevie has to fold again.
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, this is one of the problems with just min raising. If you go all in, of course, these hands would have folded to both the A7. I told you, man, you make the final table 4 times, you haven't shipped it yet, and you come in as chip leader in some of those, like, you're not going to win today. And Stevie is just got to ladder up at this point, because it's a disaster. Somehow, though, he's opted to min raise twice and has gotten action from the big blind in ways he didn't want, and now he's going to get shoved down here. He's got 10-9 offsuit with, what, 5 to 6 big blinds? At some point, you're just going to close your eyes and maybe think getting all in is better than just folding all day.
I wouldn't even really hate the call here. Like, you're behind, but you may just think like, well, I already have 140k in the middle. Stevie makes the call, but it's just a bad moment to make a call because his opponent has a 9 as well. Could we get running spades? Nope. Could we get a 10 or a 9 or an 8? An 8 would be good.
8-ball corner pocket. Now, no. Oh, this is a 3.
Nope. 3 of spades is not good enough, and that is going to do it. A very unfortunate final table appearance here for Stevie. I mean, he came in as 9th. He only had like 11 big blinds to work with. Yeah, those king jack hands, right? If he shoves king jack, I don't know if a7 calls him off, and if he folds king jack, he doesn't lose any chips there, right?
I agree. I actually don't think the ace-7 would call his shove, and I don't think the king-9 would call if he had shoved the ace-10 under gun just that last hand. Somehow he had the highest VPIP, the shortest stack, somehow played multiple pots and lost them. Was still in a tournament. I don't know what happened. I wasn't a big fan of all those plays today, but he plays a different short stack game. Obviously, he's a crusher, but today it just wasn't meant to be. You haven't got it done in 3 times. Yeah, I told you. I know. I got my reads. I got my superstitious reads.
Well, I mean, Nanonoko, you are fantastic in general. You're great at picking winners, but being like, I think the guy coming in with 10 big blinds is not going to win it tonight is not the most adventurous prediction of all time.
Hey, true. But let's point out this. I stay on 5 so far. He's folded the king-9 offsuit in the big blind with a good stack. He actually folded ace-jack suited to undergun raise. If I recall correctly, in our pre-show, I said he played the 2 queens a little bit cautiously and in that spot. And I said, he coming in top 3 stack, he might just try to ladder up to top 4. Right now, he's playing that style. If he folds his king-jack suited here, that's what I think is going to happen today. He's just going to play cautious. Let these guys like Stevie Chidwick play every single hand with no stack and let them bust themselves first.
Goldfish is sitting on a set of 4s, though. I mean, that's pretty good.
He doesn't know. He doesn't watch the show, right? Because he's the guy that he doesn't play the Super Millions all the time, so he doesn't know about this show.
All right, king jack suited in the small blind. Let's see what I stay on 5 decides to do here. His opponent has a 5 here as well. All right, he's pretty much
what I just said.
It
what I just said, just throw it out the window. This guy trying to ladder. That's clearly not trying to ladder up right there.
That is one hell of a play as well against somebody who has him covered. And he is one of the biggest stacks. I mean, that play is almost, it's not just a raise, Nano. Like, that's wild. He just basically went all in with king jack suited against the guy who covers him.
Yeah, it was definitely wild, but maybe he saw Stevie Chidwick play his king jack like a little nit, right? Just a little min raise. Just like, I show you how to play the king jack properly. Man, I'm just firing needles at all over right now, but I like, it was a cool move. Obviously, it's like you said, it was a lot of chips. So when you get called, it's a disaster. But you are risking more chips, and it is a disaster if you get called. But you do have more fold equity when you do shove in a little bit more chips in pre-flop. And so if Philippe had like 2 8s, he probably would call like a 15 big blind shove. But there's no way he's calling like a 25 big blind shove.
That is just an insane play, man. Like, it happened very quick, so I didn't even really process in my brain. But this man has no fear, apparently. He's like, yeah, I cover like 7 other players at this table at this point, but I'm not folding king jack suited to this cash game guy who's probably going to open up every single round because he's like second in chips. What a move. Like, that could have really backfired, but it didn't. Let's talk about this hand, though, as we see 7s opening it up under the gun, but Kyle Menard wakes up with ace-king suited.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised Kyle Menard just smooth calls here. But, some guys do this, be a little bit cautious, don't want to stack off. I just don't want to double up the guy in second place and turn yourself in a short stack. Obviously, 3-bet would have been the standard. If he had 3-bet the ace-king suited, I'm pretty sure take chip would have just folded 2 7s because it's not a favorable spot to be 3-bet in with this kind of stack size. But now we actually have a fair fight, like going into the flop. It's kind of like, well, the 2 7s got a bad board, and that is a spicy turn card, would you say?
Yeah, you just gotta love that, right? The 7s become now an open-ended straight draw as well, besides, of course, having the 7s. And Kyle Menard picks up the nut flush draw. And, of course, still has 2 overs as well. I'd be very surprised if Kyle Menard doesn't bet here. After it went check, 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 check. Right.
I would like to see a bet myself, too. Yeah. Deny your opponent some equity. You're going to get some better hands to fold, Besides to go for a check. And it's a bit of passive play. And, it just I feel like Kyle Maynard could have won this pot somehow. Like, say he 3-bet pre-flop, he probably would have just took it down a pre-flop, but maybe he doesn't, and you barreled up the flop, you probably just win it. It's kind of funny, but now he's gonna have to check this ace king. Wouldn't make sense to bet now and take chip. Try to go. I like the check from take chip actually with the 2-7s and the straight because it's hard for him to get called by worse. But maybe he gets like a king queen to just kind of just go for it. Yeah, I like the way he did opt to play this hand against a chip leader.
For the two hands we had and the amount of chips that those two players had, I'm actually surprised that that pot stayed below $1 million. I have the feeling that pot should have been way bigger one way or the other and perhaps should have had a different winner, but yeah, some passive play getting it done. Peter Pan is just going to ship it in with Jack 10 offsuit, and Philip wakes up with King Jack offsuit in the big blind. That is so many blinds though. Like, it's like 16, 17 bigs, right? It's hard to call. Man, these guys have no fear tonight. I stay on 5 and Peter Pan. I'm becoming a fan over here in Ananoko.
And Fab 5 and rejamming the ace 7. Yeah, like these guys, they haven't been to our final table before. We're playing for a way more prize pool, yet these guys are playing more reckless today, and I like it. You know what? If everyone's going to try to ladder up a little bit more, you should be a little bit more aggressive. Try to get those top spot, because what is first pay? $650K or something like $630,000. It's a lot. I feel like this is gonna be a fun final table. I can just feel it already, right? If these guys are shipping these hands for so many big blinds, I can't imagine their post flop play is just gonna be even more crazy.
All right, Kyle Menard, our biggest stack still at this table with 7-4 suited. Let's see what he decides to do versus the Goldfish. Ooh, just gets it all in. Kyle Menard's like, you know what? That ace king suited didn't represent me. I'm better than that. I'm gonna put some pressure on one of the shortest stacks that probably definitely wants to make a pay jump or two. Well done.
Yeah, these guys they're going. The thing is, you see the stuff when they got like 10 big blinds, 12. These guys are like 15 big blinds. Just ship it in, put the pressure on. Right now, usually I can kind of see a clear guy that's like really dominating pressure. Right now, it's just like everyone is just taking their turns being crazy. Let's see with Goldfish, 2 4s. He's had 2 4s before, didn't he? He folded because he doesn't watch the Supermans. He got 2 4s again. What do they always do, Roddy? He should just ship it in, right?
Oh my goodness, that's the second set that he's folding pre-flop. Unbelievable. All right. I do expect I stay on 5 to at least call here. Yes, and he does. What a flop. Oh my goodness, he flops the royal flush draw over here. Makes a pair of queens. He is behind, but I guess he probably has more equity, right? Like, he should be the favorite to win this hand easily.
I'm almost certain he's the favorite to win this hand. Yeah, it's like I get so many different cards. Here's a min bet from him. I would like to see
every 10, every jack, every heart. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Let's go for the check raise. Let's just put the pressure. I don't know. This min bet just seems so weak to me. Like, I feel like he could have put some pressure. Of course, check calling is standard, and you want to contain the pot, but I would have thought about putting the move in there. I don't know. Whenever you get the royal flush draw, you just want to go crazy.
I mean, that ace is actually a fantastic card for Philippe, right? Because now you cannot hit the 10 anymore, so it has to be kind of a hard jack or a queen. Still plenty of outs, and I don't really think that I stay on 5 is going anywhere, but you can't be too happy with that ace of diamonds on the turn.
Yeah, and take chip going for another bet here, and I don't mind it. He protects himself against like the queen 10s and stuff like that, and it just breaks out. And take chip actually got a lot of value with how marginal of a hand he had on the flop and turn.
If I stay on 5, I would use the so sick emoji right here. I don't care if it's a Daniel, Elke, or the default one, but that is actually pretty unreal. Well, I run out ace of diamonds, 2 of spades. Doesn't improve his hand, even though he had the royal flush draw. My PLO guy is waking up with king 10 offsuit. This would not be the right moment to open that one. Nice. He's playing tight, and he's making the correct calls, because Philippe wakes up with pocket 10s over here.
I feel like we both picked wrong today. It looks like a take ship show right now. Like 4 times he's played the Super Millions, 2 final tables, sold 50% of his action. The only mistake he made was selling action to Ami Bear, right? Just selling action in general. He sold action the first time he played. He made the final table. He sold action again here. I mean, if I was take chip, I would just stop selling action. Obviously, a big crusher. Uh, I like
Well,
the way he's playing right now.
he got here of $100 satellite. He played the $100 satellite, then won the $1,000 satellite, then got into the main event, and he's like, well, if I just sell action here, I have at least turned my $100 into 5K. Could have been a whole lot more than a Noko, and it already is a whole lot more, obviously. And let's take a look at this hand. Fab 5 does have the 9-7 suited. He made a pair of 9s. There are no draws for him available on this board. Philip may not be in love with that ace, but I think he's going to feel a lot better about his stance now because it's a little bit more less likely that Fab 5 was sitting on an ace.
Yeah, and Fab 5 might even go for like a very thin value bet himself, possibly.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a min bet on the flop, check on the turn. I do think that if Fab 5 does not bet, I would like to see Take Chip put in one of those 300K bets he did with the King 7. Just seems like his opponent should bet an ace here. It looks like his opponent has a 9, bet something, a 9 would call. 340K.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. Anything between 280 and 360 seems pretty good to me here. Wow, Philip is going big. Makes it almost 600K. And that actually becomes a very gnarly spot for Fab 5, right? He's like, hey. And he makes the
paid
call
off.
immediately. Wow, what a value bet there by Philip. Very well done. The 10's getting the maximum out of that 7-9. Ah, that's beautiful, man. Take Chip is playing indeed very well so far.
I really like the way Take Chip's playing so far, the best at this final table. My guy hasn't played a freaking hand so far. I feel like I picked the wrong cash game player to win it today. I Take Chip. Congratulations to Almi Bear. You're going to win a 300K because Take Chip is crushing right now.
I mean, Timothy Adams may call here, but it's actually very bad news because I believe every single ace is dead, if I didn't mistake. Because I think that Elis folded an ace there.
Really?
I think Carl Mellett folded an ace. And
2 6s are gone.
Yeah, no. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Diamonds.
How's he going to win his hand? Yeah, he needs diamonds.
Or we're very...
He found it. He found it. No aces in the deck, right? No 6s left, really. But he found a way to win this pot potentially.
Now, we know that Peter Pan is pretty aggressive. We just saw him shoving the Jack-10 off the button. I have the feeling he's going to play this one rather aggressive as well. He's going to bet around 33% of the pot.
With the nut flush draw here, with these stack sizes, you kind of lean towards check raise, and a lot you're just like, oh, let's just ship it in. But calling is fine too. But if obviously whatever he does, he's going to get action from the king queen. I guess the question is, does my opponent bet like 2 queens, 2 jacks here on the flop? Then check raising becomes much better, and he does go for the check raise, and there we go, big pot, and it's a coin flip coming up. Although aces are dead.
Yeah, the aces are dead, and a couple of diamonds are dead as well. Not too many, but I believe I saw at least 2 more diamonds across the board. And obviously Peter Pan is holding the queen of diamonds, but there will always be some outs, and we obviously have some weird backdoor straight outs as well. No, actually we don't.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that today.
No. Well, there's one of the diamonds that Timothy Adams needed, as he makes the nuts. And that is such a horrible card for Peter Pan, because he's going to feel that that's actually all right. You know, I've got the queen of diamonds. Now I make a straight with a jack as well, and I still have top pair. And this is really unfortunate for the Estonian.
So Timothy Adams goes for the check. It's sneaky. The thing is, there's only 1.4 million left to play in 2.3 million pot. So Timothy Adams thinking, look, maybe I check. Maybe I let my opponent think his hand is good. I can still just ship it in on the river anyways. If there's a lot of stack to play for, you probably will see Timothy Adams keep betting, and it's over for Peter Pan. I blessed my guy today. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, did I just curse my guy today? But today I was like, I don't like the way my guy's playing so far because he hasn't won a hand. Look at this.
That is pretty sick. All the aces are dead. The 6s are pretty much dead, and he just makes the nuts on the turn, and his opponent shells into him. Well done by Timothy. Very unfortunate for Peter Pan. I would have loved to see some more hands out of him, because I actually enjoyed the way that he was playing up to this point. But sometimes it's just not meant to be, Nanonoko, and perhaps this was it. Let's see if Timothy Adams gets a little more adventurous now. Small blind against big blind. Ace 4 suited.
I mean, I feel like it's funny because like we were setting
Ooh.
up Timothy Adams to lose that hand the last one. We're like, oh, no aces, no sixes, maybe nano curse. But the story just surprise ending, the nut flush on the turn.
This could be a fun hand as well, as a couple of players have reasonable hands. Kyle Menard, ace-10 offsuit under the gun. He's going to open it up. Goldfish is like, nice, another player busted. If I just stay really quiet, nobody notices me over here in the top right. I stay on 5 folding, queen 10 suited there against the under the gun open.
Let's see what Timothy Adams does with his new chips. If he puts in a 3-bet, he's going to win this hand. Sometimes people are like, oh, I just want these chips. Maybe I don't let them go. But, maybe he has got the Elky syndrome, right? Like win some chips, just start blasting away and literally go blasting away. But see, the timing of Timothy Adams is perfect because his play is actually going to work. Remember Elky last time we had him? He just lost every single time he put in some chips after you won him.
I like how Elis is spamming the running cold emojis because he keeps getting somewhat reasonable hands. He's getting back-to-back ace-3 of clubs here, by the way. And he's been forced to fold them over and over again. Timothy might open up this one as well because he's obviously running hot. He's feeling really good. The diamonds were great to him 2 hands ago. So why not go for it again? And I wonder what Elis will do this time. Previous round, it was an easy fold. This time he may be like, wait a minute, Timothy Adams. I see what's happening over here. I actually think the ace-3 of clubs is good here.
Well, but the thing is, I guess it's a decent amount of big blinds, so it's kind of like, is it worth the risk? Probably not, but some people play differently. Some people just play for that top spot, just kind of go for the ace-3 suited here. I probably wouldn't mind him just folding. He does. I think it's fine. Yeah, it would have worked, but like you got to think about the whole final table as a whole, not just one hand specifically.
Of course. It's like 16, 17 bigs, right? What he's sitting on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit unnecessary. You don't have to do that. Would have worked, though. Would have worked. I stay on 5. Can't really do anything there. I think we... Well, Queen 8 offsuit, or Queen 8 suited wasn't open, but Queen 8 offsuit is not. Queen 8 suited, though, for Philippe. That should be an open. I think that Kyle Menard will probably call here, right, with the deuces?
With 2 deuces, you do got a lot of stack to play for, so maybe just try to look for that set, not risking too much. Yeah, Goldfish, just keep folding and wait for someone else to bust.
Yeah, Goldfish like King 8, no way. Kings, I'll think about it, but King 8, I'm out of this one. Obviously, yeah. Reasonable decision. The deuces are still good, but it's always so hard to figure out whether or not your deuces are still good because almost every card is bad unless it's a deuce.
Yeah, and the thing about deuces, they get counterfeited a lot too. So like when a board pairs, you're not like woohoo. I guess there's not really great turn cards anyways. It is a small bet though. I probably would still come along with the 2 deuces. It's 25% a pot. You just gave it. I don't know. Just sometimes the price is so good, they're just betting any flop with 25%. Otherwise, like I don't know. Maybe the deuces pre-flop call isn't the best. I don't know. It's just it's tough. It's tough.
It is indeed very tough. I mean, maybe out of all the boards, you could say that was the kind of board that he could have called. But the thing is, if you're behind, if your opponent did make a random pair, and obviously Philippe is opening pretty wide, so you're not necessarily just putting him on ace king, ace queen, ace jack, right? Or well, ace jack would have killed him anyway. But it's just, I understand the fold. Like, why get the headache in there? Why not just prevent it? Like, let's get out of this. And look at this play. I stay on 5, 3-betting with the king 9 offsuit.
I like it. This guy's been aggressive ever since I've been saying, oh, maybe he might be trying to let her. Nah, this guy's a whole new player. I like it. He went crazy with the king jack suited, king 9. A lot of people actually been putting pressure on Kyle Maynard, huh? Yeah, like every single guy.
Yep.
So Kyle has just been, but Kyle's not going to get too out of line because he came as a chip leader. He doesn't want to go out right away. But he, right now he's folding down a little bit, but he's still got a lot of chips. But that's what I've noticed so far.
Let's see what he decides to do with his pocket 7s. Elis has obviously been pretty tight so far at this final table. He's made a lot of folds. The 7s are just going to call. So I think Chaos is going to try to flop one. That's actually very similar to the previous hand, right? The two hearts, the Jack 6-4. Last time he had deuces though, so there were 3 overcards. This time he's got 7s, only 1 overcard.
Yeah, looks like Elis does check. Without a heart in your hand, maybe you don't want to barrel this flop too much. Does seem like a lot of times your opponent does have 7s, 8s, 9s, Jack 10 aren't just gonna fold. But Kyle Maynard checks the 2 7s, and he might lose the spot now because if I'm Elis, I see my
You got to
opponent
bet
check.
this.
You gotta bet with this stack size.
Yeah.
Your opponent checks this flop, man. They're gonna have 2 7s, 2 8s, 2 9s a lot. You got to get those hands to fold. 2 overcards to mid pocket pair is usually a fold. So just throw in like, I don't know, 350, 400K, I don't know, something. But Elis, come on, just bet. The problem is now you look like you got 2 overcards, like ace king, ace queen, and at least you hit the queen. Look, I feel like, I don't know why, but so far it seemed like people can win these. Kyle Maynard has been in all these pots where he could win these pots, but somehow has lost the pot.
Like, I understand the chips are very valuable, and obviously Fab 5 is kind of short. Goldfish is a short stack, and, you know, the ICM implications are big. But I think that those are just spots you want to bet because it's 900K in the center. He does get there in the end. He makes a pair of queens. But yeah, obviously, if you would have bet, maybe flop is a bit scary, but if you bet turn and your opponent does call, you do pick up some extra chips. He's going to check again. I don't really see any reason for Kyle Maynard to bet all of a sudden, but I mean, what does he really beat here? Like, is he hoping that his opponent has 5s, or it's gonna go check on the river, and Elis will pick it up? But that was not a very convincing hand. Feeling a little less good about my pick, but hey, at least he did win the pot.
I mean, he didn't. I don't think Elis played it bad by any means. I don't know. Just so far, I feel like these unknown players a little bit more. They haven't been betting in spots I would expect them to bet. Cash game players, so far I've been pretty impressed with the ways they've been playing post flop so far, especially take chip. Timothy Adams in that A6 suit. I think that hand is a little bit more standard, but I like the way take chip's really playing. I wanted to see how Timothy Adams, I think he's going to defend the Jack 9 offsuit. Earlier he was playing a little bit more snug when he had like 25, 30 big blinds in the middle of the pack, people busting, but now you got a big stack. You can play post flop, not this flop, but you know, you can play a check fold game.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah.
Could pretend he's got all the clubs. It would be very scary, I think, for Kyle Maynard here if he gets check raised. You don't want to do it as if you're Timothy Adams. It's just very unnecessary. You've got so many chips, but it'd be one hell of a play. Those monotone boards are scary, man.
It's true. It would be very scary, but then sometimes, you know, you check raise the flop, you bet the turn, and you're like, man, does he have a hand that's just got 1 club and is just looking to fold the river? Or does he have the absolute nuts? And then you're like, he always got it.
Let's see what Fab 5 decides to do here. 16% VPIP. Ice Cube is going to get out of the way. Timothy Adams with King 10. We know that he would be in pretty good shape if he makes the call here, but it's hard to play those hands out of position. So he decides to just fold. I'm expecting Elis to make the call here, right? You're the one closing the action. Just put in that 1 big blind and pray that you flop a 5.
Yeah, I agree. Don't think he should rejam. I feel like Goldfish and Fab a little bit too short. He out chips him by a decent margin. Reshoving is definitely a nice play, but I do like the call, and I like flopping a set of 5s. I'll tell you that.
Let's see what Kyle Maynard decides to do here. We've seen him a little bit passive in some of those other post-flop spots. He doesn't really connect with this board, right? There is no...
You gotta fire, though. That's the thing. You raising 10-8 suit in early position. You got nothing. Your opponent's got that stack size where they'll just check fold a lot. If they continue, they usually got something. So I like the bet. It's obviously not going to work. But I think... And I like the call for 2 5s. You got a small stack size. So it's very easy to get it all in anyways by the river. So there's no reason to really check raise. Let your opponent maybe pick up a queen, a king, or ace to continue firing on. If Elis had more stack, then I like check raising more. But with his stack size, the call is perfect.
Yeah, I agree. And that river card, that turn card is pretty perfect as well. Elis now firing out. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to be the one betting. praying that Kyle Maynard has a jack. We know that that is not the case. So this hand will most likely just end here. Kyle Maynard's going to feel a little bit annoyed about this. What do you have? Why do you do that? But it doesn't really matter, right? It's just one of those hands. Forget about it. Move on. Elis had pretty much the nuts. I mean, not the actual nuts, but it doesn't get much better than that. Kyle Maynard loses some chips, but he still has plenty to work with.
I feel like Kyle Maynard's been involved in a decent amount of pots and has lost a lot of them, but he seems to only be down like 1,000,000 chips, which, if you look in terms of big blinds, is not that much with this blind level. But he has been getting involved so far, and but like Philippe actually gave him some respect there, pulled the Jack 8 offsuit in the big blind as a chip leader, which I think is a very defendable spot.
Yeah, but under the gun race though, right? Like if it's button race, I think maybe you're not a little less worried. But the under the gun
You're definitely
race
not
is a bit
folding.
scary.
You're definitely not folding if he's on a button. But like I said, Take Chip's going to take a little bit different approach than a lot of the other guys playing. He doesn't normally play tournaments, but when he does, he sells action and people buys it and they win free money. But yeah, you like the random Elky emojis from. He's actually the only one that's been doing the emoji game today, I think.
Indeed. There's a new meta with the emotes. It's very annoying. When somebody goes like all in pre-flop and you call, they spam their emotes all the time and it actually hides their cards. So you have to look on the side to see like whether you're ahead or they're ahead. And if they are behind, you can at least see what outs they have. And it's like, oh, come on, stop. I just want to see what you have. And they're just like, just one time, just one time, just one time. I'm like, oh, come on.
That's pretty funny. The emoji meta. It's a new thing, right? Like, there's gonna be like which emojis? The Daniel, the Elkies, the classic. But it actually look like we got I think we're gonna have a fun spot coming up here, right? Like it's gonna be 3 big stacks, 3 marginal hands. Oh, I'm surprised the 7-9 suited folded.
Me too.
Very interesting because he's been getting involved in some spots, and I think 9-7 suited plays perfectly pre-flop. But regardless, this is still going to be interesting. Queen Jack 10, Timothy Adams the pre-flop raiser. So you know what he's thinking? Whenever you see the Queen Jack 10, you're always thinking, they didn't re-raise me pre-flop. I'm the only one that can have Ace King. Maybe let's put some pressure on.
Well, we know that he's actually a bit behind. Obviously, the hearts are still alive, so could make a backdoor flush. Philip absolutely calling here. May even raise, right? Top pair, open-ended straight draw.
Definitely not raising. When you can't represent the nuts Ace King here and you raise, like, your line doesn't make that much sense. Okay. I definitely would not be raising, especially at the end these stack sizes. Like they're big. Like you do not want to be say raising the flop and having to fold a hand that could and then make the nuts, right? The ace comes off and
did flop really big, but that is a valid point. Like if you raise and then Timothy Adams shoves, then you're just in an absolutely horrific, disgusting spot. And what do you do then? So obviously makes sense. The jack on the turn is going to slow down the action as it will go check, check. And we know that the king, queen of Philip is still good.
Yeah, I don't mind Timothy Adams checking when the jack rolls off because Philippe will have a lot of hands. The jack does improve. Like a jack 10 would probably just check out a flop. The queen jacks, these, the king jacks, the ace jacks, these hands aren't going to fold. So I would like to see Philippe keep checking, though, the king queen. It is very much, I wouldn't say impossible to get called by worse if he bets the river card. So checking does make a lot of sense. Timothy Adams thinking, okay, can I move my opponent off like a king, queen, ace, queen? Or does he just setting me up? He is going to check, and I think it's fine. The thing is, when you check the turn, you're just thinking, man, I really don't represent anything if I just start betting.
I'm with you as well. And it's also just a bit unnecessary, right? If Timothy Adams loses his hand, he's still at 5.5 million. He is third in chips at the moment. There's no need. Like sometimes you may want to, but if it's just really not necessary, don't get yourself in these really silly positions where you could arguably be losing a lot more chips. Let's see how this hand plays out, though, as Philippe could open it up with ace-6 offsuit on the button. We see Kyle has a suited ace, and even Goldfish has a somewhat reasonable hand in the big blind, the 6-5 suited.
Philippe is just right there. He's going for a bigger raise, and the reason he's going for the bigger raise is because the small blind has a very small stack. I mean, the big blind, Goldfish, You want to kind of cut down their implied odds, because if you start min raising in this spot, like they can defend so wide. So like maybe Goldfish doesn't want to continue to 6-5 suited now because of
Yeah.
this big raise. But I don't mind that he still calls, but that's what the logic is to it.
Yep. That's a very unfortunate flop for our Goldfish. That's pretty much always going to be bad fold. Philippe obviously doesn't flop a whole lot. He's got a gut shot. And he does still have an ace, so he's just going to fire one big blind. And it's so hard for Goldfish to make that call. You can't really get your opponent off a hand because they could be sitting on the absolute nuts. You just got to kind of fold and realize that life sucks as a short stack sometimes, Nano.
Well, I guess with King Queen, he's just got to go for it now, the Goldfish. And actually, maybe he wins the pot. I stay on 5, might just fold ace jack because there's Philippe behind him with a massive stack. So this hand could get a little interesting depending on who does what.
I mean, all 4 of them. You know, ace 9 is not fantastic, but normally you're like, hey, why did you raise? Like, I was supposed to open this one up on the button and just take it down pre-flop. Why are you taking away my opportunity? But Kyle does make the fold, and obviously we know it's a correct one. Goldfish indeed may just go for it, and then I really want.
Okay. I don't know if I like it though, because with that stack size, everyone's waiting for you. I don't know if he's going to get a better offer.
He's waiting for someone else, Nanonoko. He's like, it's not going to be me. I'm not going in 7.
Oh,
I like it. I stay on 5 is awesome, man. He's just like no fear at all. Gonna get it in here with the ace jack offsuit, and Philip is gonna be forced to fold. Very well done.
That, like I said, that hand could have went in many different ways. Goldfish reshoves. Maybe I stay on 5, gets it in. Maybe he folds. I'm not too sure, but the guy who I didn't expect it to go that way though. I didn't expect Goldfish to fold the King Queen.
I didn't expect him to fold, and I also did not expect I stay on 5 to just jam the ace jack in against the chip leader when Goldfish is that short. Fabulous 5 or Fab 5 is pretty short as well. I like it, man. I feel like we've seen a couple of really cool plays already in this first hour of this final table.
I'll tell you, I stay on 5. He's getting in more. He's putting pressure on these big stacks, and I like it because his approach is, look, yeah, I'm risking my tournament life, but we know the big prize is on top, right? 630K for first. This is my time to really just put the pressure on him, because look, what's the difference between what 7th and 6th is what 40K or so. It's good. It's a lot of money, but look at the top prize is like that 40K is going to feel like nothing if you can get up there. And you, in order to do that, you need to put pressure on big stacks, because big stacks are the ones opening garbage. Look at this, King 2 deuce suited in the hijack. They just have too many hands that are going to fold. If you look at the ratio of hands that will fold to shoves and call, it's not very many hands that are going to call your 20 big blind shove. So I think he's putting himself in a good position to try and chip up pretty safely, and maybe he busts first, but it's the right approach even with this, even though there's guys with like 5 or 6 big blinds.
All right, I do believe that we have one of the giveaways coming up. I'm actually a little bit confused about how we're rolling things, but TLDR is that I know we have a giveaway coming real soon. They're giving away 5 $22 satellite tickets, and all you have to type in the YouTube chat is GGGP, and of course, make sure to follow the YouTube channel, or subscribe to the YouTube channel, I should say, so you guys can not only know when we are live on this channel, but of course, you guys can follow all the action between DNX and Dog Pork as well. So far, we've been backing up the truck in that one, but let's see if Daniel can push that truck back a little bit and fight back.
I would love to see Daniel win some monies. It just seems like it's too much of a slaughter right now. We need a bit of a comeback, and see what happens there. And now he's got 2 8s.
Yep.
Goldfish is ready to fight.
Goldfish had enough of it. He's hoping that maybe Philip opening up a little bit loose. Maybe it's a suited ace with a low kicker. It is going to be a good old race. Can the 8s for Goldfish hold? So far, yes, but it's so scary. Nanonoko needs to avoid an ace queen or a jack. And if he does, he will double up. That is paint. And that's bad news.
What kind of paint? What kind of paint? What kind of paint?
It's jack. Jack.
Boom.
Yep, it is a jack. They actually all look a little bit different as well. Like I really became an expert, man. I've been like sweating so many rivers over the last few weeks. I'm like, all I see is like a tiny bit of the sword. I'm like, Damn it, it's a king. I know, not a king. Well, that is going to do it for Goldfish. Very unfortunate river card there for him. He will still walk away with $112,000 though, which let me just double check, but I'm pretty sure, yes, that is more than twice than he ever cashed for so far on GGPoker. So that's pretty damn good.
Pretty good. Down to 6, players gone, and we haven't reached the first break yet. And it's right now, it's all cash game players. So it's really all take chip. But, Timothy Adams took a little chips on the side. And the 2.5x raise, Timothy Adams going for a bigger raise against the chip leader. He wants to try to get him to fold the big blind a bit more. And it works. He got him to fold the 9-6 offsuit. He goes for a min raise, probably gets looked up for a flop.
All right. Apparently, we've got another free roll. And the password to the free roll is BOM. B-O-M. And what you guys have to do is go into the GGPoker client and play a free roll. Nothing to write in chat. But you guys still have to make damn sure that you follow this channel on YouTube. Otherwise, we're going to track you and realize that you shouldn't have participated in the giveaway. But yeah, free roll happening right now. Password is BOM. B-O-M over at GG.
It's funny you say BOM. I'm just thinking like a bomb, like a B-O-M-B, but like B-O-M, right? Like just 3 letters, 3 letters, capital. What's this? Battle of Malta, I assume is what it stands for?
Yes, that makes sense. B-O-M. But yeah. I mean, I just say bomb, B-O-M. It kind of reads out as bomb, okay? I guess you can go bomb, not bump. Nothing is exploding over here other than this hand, by the way. My man opening up the king 9 from the button, and Kyle Menard is having none of that. Puts in the big 3-bet with ace-4 offsuit. Well done. Great hand there by Kyle.
Yeah, I think Kyle is just like, I'll tell you this. Kyle has been involved in a lot of pots, but he's been involved in a lot of pots with marginal hands. Like, he hasn't been getting, 2 aces and an easy play. He's been getting, the ace-4 offsuit, 9-7 suited, the 2 7s, the 2 6s. These types of hands where it's, it's a little bit annoying because, you need to get involved, but you're, not sure what the optimal way is to play them sometimes. But Philippe, first one above 10 million. It's actually been really smooth sailing for him. Actually, no problems at all.
Wow. Yeah, that actually went relatively quick. Now, obviously, the stacks are going to be a little bit bigger than in some of our previous High Roller Super Millions final tables because the field was bigger as well. Kyle Menard opening up Jack 10, and Fab 5 is having none of that as he shoves the ace-4 offsuit and takes it down. And those are some much-needed chips for our Brazilian. That's a cool move as well, Nano.
Fab 5 is not scared. He's been reshoving these ace rags in and getting to work. You need to put the pressure in pre-flop. Ace-6 offsuit for take chip. King 9 suited. Tempting for Fab 5. Like most people will fold here. I was thinking Fab 5, maybe he ships it in, but obviously fine.
Would you defend the big blind here ever if you're Timothy? 8-6 offsuit.
I think it's reasonable, but he has been folding the big blind pretty tight because when there's these shorter stacks down there. So he's being a bit cautious, but with his stack size, it wouldn't have been a wrong play at all. He might, the 2 6s, I'm not sure what he's going to do. He might just fold outright. He might call. Don't think he's going to 3-bet it. He just does just let it go. It's just kind of like, it's hard for you to double up, especially against another strong cash game player in the small blind. You're investing more. Oftentimes you just check fold. Even if you hit a set, they're probably not going to pay you off unless it's some huge cooler. Guy with 10 big blinds coming up. So it's kind of like too often you just call and just check fold.
Elis is really on top of his emoji game. He's just spamming them nonstop. And he wakes up with aces, by the way. After folding all those hands and a lot of marginal spots, Timothy Adams is probably going to open this one up. Jack 10 offsuit on the button. You'd be like, oh yeah, that's a nice little, I raise, you guys call, and then I bet flop, you guys fold, because I'll probably flop all right. And that's a pretty big open as well. It's 2.4, something like
2.5x. 2.5, come on. He made the math for you too easy.
Oh yeah, it's too easy indeed. 2.5, 80. Yep, and the aces are going to reshove. I'm actually a bit sad to see that. I would love to just see him 3-bet. But saying running cold while he's sitting on aces, and that's going to be the end of this hand.
He's trying to balance out his emoji game a little bit, right? Because he's been running cold. He's actually had bad spots. Now he's like, I got 2 aces. Maybe I can trick my opponent.
I don't know why I made that so hard on myself, right? Like 50% of 160 is 80K, and 80 plus 320 makes 400. I was like, crunching the numbers over here. I was like, yeah, That's actually just 2.5. Thank you, Nano.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It must be. You never get to the 160,000 chip blind level. That's why you're
Ah,
confused.
hey, I would
You
like
always
to let
tell
you know.
you always tell me about you getting like 18th place, maybe 50th place out of 60 players. You know, like something like that.
I want you to know, Nananoko, that you're looking at the reigning defending champion of the Bounty 6-shooter $126 buy-in, okay?
Oh, you won a tournament recently, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, nice. All right.
Yeah. The worst part is that I offered to sell 69%. My description was, I'm expecting an early bust with no bounties. Don't buy it. Chinese guy buys 45%. Serbian guy buys 24%. I win my first tournament and sold 69%. Unbelievable. Anyway.
I'm loving that Chinese guy that buy your action. You might like, oh, this guy's commentator. You must know what he's talking about. Let me just... And then
He
he
was
got
so
it.
wrong. Yeah, he wakes up the next day. He's like, well, someone did great. He's like, oh my goodness, it's that Roddy guy who told me not to buy his action. All right, let's focus on the next hand. 9-6 flops top pair, but Elis is going to continue betting with his ace-8 suited.
Yeah. Let's see. Top pair makes the call, and that's a spicy turn because you don't expect the Elis to win this hand, but actually gives his opponent outs though.
Yeah, I mean, 9-6 is not going anywhere here. Still have a pair. Have the flush draw now as well. Elis is going to feel really good about making his pair of aces on the turn. It's kind of funny because there's so much in the middle. And if you look at Elis's stack, I mean, both of them, to be honest, obviously. This is a
I
very
think he
big
should.
pot.
I think he should bet. Just protect your hand a bit, and unless he thinks his opponent's capable of check raising him on the turn, I think he should be betting here. Because if you think your opponent's going to like the type to check raise, like I don't know, 2 hearts or something,
Make it easy.
then...
Go all in. If you don't know what to do, just go all in and hope that you're right.
Well, usually it's the other way around. Or it's like if you don't know what to do, you just kind of play passive. But I like what you're saying.
400k. Now I'm really wondering what I stay on 5 decides to do. We have already seen him make a couple of very ambitious plays at this final table. He could just call here and see the river card. And that is exactly what he does. The river card, unfortunately, does not help him. But it would have been an insane spot as well to go for a massive 3-bet there. Just go all in. And then I really wonder what Elis would do with his pair of aces, but technically no kicker, right?
Yeah, I don't think the ace-8 would call him, actually, if his opponent had shoved. Now I would imagine ace-8 would want to check. It just seems like no value. You're only going to get looked up. A lot of better hands out there. I don't know why Elis would want to bet here. I really don't think he should bet. And yeah, okay, good check.
I'm totally with you there. You make just life very hard because what if you do bet and then your opponent does still go all in? There are so many hands that beat you there, and you're basically not beating anything other than a stone cold bluff or something that turned into a bluff. Well, that's great news for our Finnish PLO master as he chips his way up casually to 4.4 million while spamming some emotes. Not a bad night at the office for him so far.
Looks like take chip. He's like, I should open this 9-8 offsuit, but this Fab 5 and I stay on 5. These are actually tough short stacks. They just keep reshipping on you. And actually, it's going to be all in a call, I imagine. There's no way Fab 5 folding ace-7 offsuit.
I think I'm with you. Small blind does go all in with the ace queen. Fab 5 makes the call with the ace-7, and he is going to need some luck. That is a horrible flop for Fab 5 as he's pretty much drawing dead. And he is dead on the turn. And that means that we are down to 5 at this point. As the ace queen makes a full house, just as an icing on the cake, but it obviously doesn't make a difference. Unfortunate there for Fab 5. I like the call. I would normally call as well, be like, to hell with it, you know. Ace-7 is going to be good here more often than not. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do.
Agree, and I would say this is the part when we say, okay, we're playing some real poker now because there's no more short stacks. A lot of guys have similar stack, 3 guys, right? Kyle Maynard, I stay on 5, Elis. Even Timothy Adams pretty close in chip stack. It's just take chip has twice the amount of some of these other guys, but we got some post-op poker coming up because, they're still playing at least 25 big blinds a person, at least.
And we're currently at level 35, which normally is like, that's where we're getting close to the end. But obviously, because we had way more signups this week, we had 291 entries, as you guys can see at the bottom side of our screen as well. Yeah, everybody just has way more chips. Could be a funny hand, as just neither player really has anything. Timothy Adams may think King High is pretty good here. He's right. That is a really fun turn card, at least for Elis, as he now flops the open-ended straight draw and the flush draw. If Timothy Adams checks here, you want to bet this, right? That's just such a big draw.
You got like the nut low. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. He literally has the nut low, right? But with a
Yes.
big draw. Put a big bet out there. Try to get your opponent to fold some queen highs, some king highs, some jack highs. What I see, like nothing to lose. Yeah, just bet it out. But I'm curious to see if Timothy Adams calls with the king eight. Some players would call here. Obviously, you're not like hoping to see another bet, but nice. That's why you bet if you're gonna get the better hands to fold.
I think that's one of these spots as well where Timothy may think like King 8 could be good here, but I'm going to prevent the headache because I don't know what rolls off on the river. And imagine if he does have a 9, then it just gets really weird. That is going to do it for our first hour. Once again, we have a free roll running. I hope it's still open. Password is BOM, the Battle of Malta. Just log into the GGPoker client. We have lost 4 players. The breaks became shorter, guys, over at GGPoker. We used to have slightly more time. So Nananoko is going to take a moment. I'm going to take a moment as well. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the 22nd final table of the High Roller Super Millions. We are down to 5 and we'll be right back. All right, guys, the break is pretty much over. I'm back. Nanonoko is pretty much back as well, and we are ready to continue bringing you guys coverage of this final table. As you guys know, a YouTube exclusive, and the first hand could already get a little exciting here as Carl wakes up with pocket fives. So we see I stay on 5, who's been pretty aggressive, even though his VPIP is low. We know that he's been pretty adventurous, gets pocket kings here, and Carl folds pocket fives on the gun. Wow.
Yeah, Kyle Maynard, no, he doesn't want to like lose all his chips for a sandbag, but I'm a little bit surprised. I think the 2-5 should be opening, but good timing, I guess, because I stay on 5 does have the 2 kings.
Well, we did see the 5s already make one set tonight, so maybe we should change our saying. It's the pocket 5s that always make a set. I want to see some pocket 4s making a set here tonight, just to keep the tradition alive. I don't think any of these other hands are going to give I stay on 5 any action here.
Have we seen pocket 4s make a set yet, though, in any of our
Yes.
Have we? Okay, just making sure, because I know we talk about a lot, but I'm not too sure.
See? There's the 5. No, go. It's the pocket 5s that always make a set at the higher. Carl Maynard is going to be disgusted. He's like, oh my goodness.
You know, sometimes you're thinking, like, you make this, like, kind of tight fold. You're like, fours would have made a set if there was 2 fours. But I'm just saying... You're just thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna make a tight fold and just you flop a bow and you're like, God damn it, why'd I do that?
I actually had it last week in the Beat the Pros event. Somebody opened and I was like, I'm not really just gonna, I don't want to 3-bet with my 5s, I'll just fold. And I would have had a bounty, I would have had a set. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sick of myself. I stay on 5, plays his kings very slow so far, and he actually gets Philip to put in some chips with his pair of 4s. Just makes the call. I don't think Philip is going to bet this river, though. There's no point.
Yeah, I agree. No point. I think the 2 kings should be betting, though. It just seems like your opponent had the queen. They would have played a lot more chips by now. You can easily get called by worse. You can represent Miss Flush Draw. Yeah, I'd fire half the pot at least, I think.
Yep. Well, he's going to go for 1/3.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah. I don't think Philip is going to call here. I mean, like, you
tempting
could,
though, right? Because you're like, man, you know, you're thinking sometimes when you're like thinking about calling the river bet, you're like, maybe they have a flush draw and you pay off. They don't show you a flush draw. You're like, God damn it, why they pay off? But yeah, nice.
Well, I stay on 5 gets ace queen offsuit in his second hand after the break. This break has been marvelous. He's like, all right, so all it took was 5 minutes for me to wake up with hands. My man Elis wakes up with Jack 10 suited on the button. That's a hand you would normally like to play, but if somebody's opening under the gun, it gets a little bit more tricky. What do you think he should do here?
I think you should smooth call here. It plays really well. You got a lot of stack to play for. It's really, I don't really see a reason not to see a flop here, unless you don't have much flop like hands that you do call with. He is going to go for a 3-bet, which is an alternative play. I just don't think he should be folding. Ace queen, ace queen here. I probably would be very tempted to ship it in, right? At least call 3-bet. I guess maybe he's thinking Elis hasn't done too much this final table yet, so he's like, but he's just not going to work on this guy. You know, other guys, they let you see a flop. This thing of Jack 10 suited, it sucks to fold that hand and not see a flop. That's why I kind of would have liked him to flat and maybe 3-bet a hand. I'd rather like 3-bet a hand like Queen Jack offsuit, King Jack offsuit, even though those are better hands than Jack 10 suited, but suited just makes your hand so much more playable.
Yeah, I think the main reason why he maybe went for the 3-bet is that he's afraid that if he just calls, that opens the door for Philippe or Carl Maynard to make an amazing play, right? And then there's so much money there already. And then you're like, damn it, I don't want to fold Jack 10. So what if I just 3-bet, take it down pre-flop? Or he does make the call, and then we're playing a big pot. Just didn't really work out. Great job again, though, by I stay on 5. He's really making a very good impression on us tonight. I'd say so. I like almost all the moves he's made so far.
And he's in second place now, right? Like, he's actually had like some of these annoying spots a lot, but he's always take the aggressive action, and it's been working out. And that's what gets you to the top. And now he's guaranteed what, almost $200,000. So That's what you want. I said earlier, I was saying, who cares about 40K, right? Look at the top. Even second place is a lot, $473,000.
Yep.
And Elis, I feel like he's had a little bit of a calm day, but kind of like nothing too easy besides the two aces. He played where he just went all in pre-flop, but I guess he can't complain too much, since he's guaranteed top 5 now.
Probably call here, right? Because the bet is so small. It's only 240K. If you make the call here, you're playing a pot that's like 1.3 million almost. And he did make a pair, so he does make the call.
Actually, 1.3 million is funny when you said that because it was exactly 1.3 million after that call was made. Yeah, I agree with you. Calling is the right play. You might have the best hand. You can improve to the best hand. Really, you just can't fold the flop if you're playing these hands from the big blind. As of this right now, I would just keep checking the 8-7 and just fold to a river bet. Because you're gonna wake up with better hands to call with than 8-7. You're gonna have like the ace-5s, the ace-3s, the ace-deuces. So I just see him just check fold the 8-7 in my opinion.
Yep. I stay on 5. It's probably gonna bet here since he makes 2 pair on the river. It just feels like his hand is a little bit too good to check. Obviously, there's plenty of hands that beat him, but more often than not against the big blind. You indeed go up against somebody who made 1 pair on the flop and wants to stick around a little bit. It's going for a pretty big bet here on the river, hoping to get called by either a lower 2 pair or maybe just a strong ace, but we know that's not the case.
Yeah, I think I stay on 5. I just hoping his opponent has a hand, like I mentioned earlier, ace-7, ace-9, ace-5. And it's actually a good sizing because if you go too much bigger, sometimes those hands will just hero fold. If you just go like pot or over bet, like some of these guys like to do. So I actually think he's got the sizing perfect because he doesn't expect the 8 to call him anyways. So you might as well size to the target the ace. That's 1 pair.
So I stay on 5, takes down another pot. He's casually chipping his way to the top. Next time he wakes up at ace-9. He's like, I can't lose a hand. That was the best break ever, We're 7 minutes in. He pretty much doubled his stack, and he's going to open up the ace-9 suited here as well. And we'll probably just take this one down. The blinds are getting big, man, like 100K, 200K, 125K of antes in the middle. This is actually starting to add up real quick.
I'm just wondering, like, okay, Timothy Adams, he's going to make it 500,000. Do you know how many big blinds that is? Do you know it's a 2.5x? Because at 100, 200K, it's going to be a lot simpler, right, than the 80,000, 160,000.
And I know, when I was at elementary school, I was the star when it came to basic math, okay? I was the best of my class. It's been a little while, and indeed, I don't play too many tournaments where the blinds get this big, but yeah, I think I can do that part.
All right. So, Elis, ace-3 offsuit. Like, he actually has been getting a lot of marginal spots. Ace-3 on the button, usually the best hand, but then you got 15 big blinds. You're like, man, do I raise, get jammed on? Do I just open ship it? Maybe it's a little bit too much. Do I just open fold that feels too weak? All around, this is an annoying spot to be in with the ace-3 offsuit, even though nothing's happened so far.
I think you close your eyes and just go all in. That's what I. Oh,
you just sit out. You just sit out. You just like, screw this. I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna just sit out.
Now, when I see somebody sit out, think back of that hand we saw between Daniel and Doug, with the trip eights. Sit out after that hand. I was like, oh my goodness. I hope everything is okay. I hope no keyboards went down the drain there, but that wasn't happening.
Yeah, I was actually watching that part live. I didn't watch all of the match, but I watched that part specifically. I was like, damn, he's got quads here, right? And then I remember seeing the hand. I was like, what? And then I saw his insta sit out, and I was just like, okay, let's go to the forums and see what people are talking smack about right now.
Yeah. I think I've watched pretty much every single hand so far. I obviously watched the live show live. I've watched definitely the entire first part or the entire episode of the first online session. The second one I missed a little bit because I was kind of falling asleep. It was late, but I caught most of it. It's really fun. I think Kevin Martin has been doing a great job hosting that so far. It's been very enjoyable. And of course, guys, once again, if you follow the YouTube channel here, you'll get notifications of when they go live for more of the battles. Look at my man Elis. He's going to get it all in with the pocket eights. He's like, enough. I stay on 5. How many hands in a row can you win?
I don't know why, but that was like a really funny emoji choice. Like usually you would use like, I want to, whatever, I want to call. Just hello after he ships it on you.
Just letting us know that he's still here, even though he set out for like 0.1 second, you know. Mr. Manard is going to open this one up. Ace-10 suited, obviously a very strong hand when you're down to 5. And Philip is going to let this one go. And, it's actually going pretty quick right now. Obviously, at the final table, the blinds go up by the amount of hands we play. You guys can see in the top left, in 19 hands, the blinds will go up again. We saw Elis fold Ace-3 offsuit. His stack is a bit bigger now, but I definitely would love to see him play Ace-6 here.
I agree. Yeah, I don't mind the ship at all. Like, sometimes like if the spot is close, you don't know what to do. But if it's suited, you know what to do. Just ship it in.
All right. King 7. He may think like, maybe I can go on a little bit of a heater as well, just like I stay on 5 went after the break. Obviously, this hand is not as easy as the Ace-6 on the button. There's one more player behind you.
Definitely a hand worthy of a raise, but I don't mind a fold. Just kind of just maintain your position. People have been reshoving a lot lately at this final table, so I don't mind a fold. But in general, King 7 suited for a cutoff would have been a fine open. But just maybe you want a little bit more big blinds to begin with.
Kyle Maynard decides to limp with his Jack 10 offsuit in the small blind. You know that I stay on 5 likes to be aggressive, but he's not going to do it this time. He's just going to check his 9-7, and that's a pretty good flop for Jack 10.
Yeah, let's give that Jack 10 a 10 on the turn, and let's see if he likes it anymore, because that would make it straight for the 9-7.
The 7 of clubs as well, but obviously you can't know if that's any good. It's kind of tricky, right? It's like, okay, he makes the call. Ace rolls off on the turn. Kyle Maynard may be a little bit more worried about his hand now. I wonder if he continues betting or not.
Yeah, I agree. I think both plays would be fine. It looks like he wants to continue maintaining the initiative. When you check, you kind of like expect your opponent to check back a lot and also put you to the test. Yeah, betting seems okay. Ace-8, I would love to see him open. I feel like, you know, it's actually, I'll tell you this. The chip leader today, so far, Take Chip, he's been playing really solid post-flop. And a lot of the cash game guys tend to play like this. They don't recklessly raise like any 2 cards in any spot. A lot of tournament guys kind of more go that direction. They play more solid. They open up a little bit more, but they don't go too crazy. So I don't really see Take Chip just losing his chip lead recklessly like some other guys have done in our past Super Millions broadcasts.
Timothy Adams makes the call in the big blind with the 5-6 suited. Obviously, that's something that makes sense. And he does get a little piece of the board. But bottom pair, you don't feel great about it, especially not when your opponent keeps betting. Since there is not a single club on the board, I won't fault him for folding here. I think if that's like the 7 of clubs or the 10 of clubs, then I think it's okay to call one time and see what the turn brings you. But it's probably best to just let this one go.
Yeah, and you know what got it done is actually Take Chip using a bigger C-bet sizing on that one. He did 60% pot. You know, before he's been doing 25% pot. The first time he threw out a bigger one. And that puts a lot more pressure on Timothy Adams' stack, who actually folded a pair from the big blind. Now, a lot of times you wouldn't see the big blind fold a pair, but these bigger bet sizings kind of force you to, right? Like, because I don't think Timothy Adams ever folds if his opponent bet 200 to 50K, 300K, like he has been normally on flops.
Well, that is correct. Let's see what Elis decides to do with his 6-5. This one is not suited. He's just going to let it go. I wouldn't have minded one chip. I know he's the shortest stack at the table, but, you know, 6-5 can flop pretty good.
I mean, I wouldn't fault it either. I guess right now, though, it's kind of like you got a decent stack. You are the shortest, but if you start seeing a lot of flops, is that what you're talking about? You can't see the cards? Because right now I can't see his cards. But
he had 6-3. He's memeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say it looks like when you have this kind of short stack, but you know, there's other guys kind of close to you. If you call the big blind too wide, What happens is, and you just check fold flop, maybe call flop bet, check fold turn. You make yourself a clear short stack with like 12 big blinds, and then everyone literally just freezes up. But so right now, you kind of want to maintain your situation and not become a clear short stack where it's guaranteed you got to make a move. You still want other people to make moves, right?
Yeah. Well, Elis tried to make a play here with king 3 suited from the button. Obviously not a bad race, but Kyle Maynard was having none of that. Gets it all in with ace queen and takes it down. So Elis is now in a bit more trouble as he drops below 3 million chips. Still has 14, 15 bigs, but it's starting to get a little dangerous, right? With when you're down to 5-handed, the blinds come around very often. So kind of looking for a double here. He's got some time, but he doesn't have all the time.
Yeah, see if he does like one more raise fold or like defend and fold, he'll be like down 12 big blinds, like I said, and then that's when everyone definitely freezes up. I would like to see take chip open. I know Queen A offsuit is not a great hand, but he's got a lot of power with his stack size right now. And
wow.
Yeah, he got I stay on 5 to fold that hand. It makes a lot of sense. Timothy Adams not even going to defend hands that are defendable because he needs to play cautious. And look, if take chip I think he should open more though. It just seems like people are playing a little bit tighter now. Yeah, and I like it. This is what's going to cruise him to that top spot guaranteed.
Well, let's see if our PLO master had enough of this. He's like, you opened the last round, now you're opening again on the gun. A7 is not fantastic, but if you have the feeling that your opponent is opening a bit wider, then you can always close your eyes and just go for it. Defend your big blind. It's hard. Nobody really wants to go out with a story like, yeah, I shipped A7 from the big blind. He does just make the call. And he at least flops top pair, so he's going to feel really good about this. Let's see what Philip decides to do with all of his backdoor draws that are still alive, but that's about it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not much. He throws out the little min bet, and size is actually spot on. Doesn't need to bet any bigger against this stack size. Turns a pair of sixes, so with a pair of sixes, you're thinking, okay, I beat the queen jacks, the king jacks. Let me just try and check this one down, I think.
I think he's going to bet because he's like, I was betting with nothing. Now I have a pair. Let's bet one more time. See if I can. No, he doesn't. Okay. Well, I think Elis knows that his ace is good, but
I'd value bet though. I value bet for sure because if my opponent had a better ace, there's no way he's checking the turn against my stack size. Just hope for a crying call from, I don't know, jack, 2 jacks, 2 queens, 2 kings. I don't know. I would definitely bet. I think it's a little bit like tight. A lot of times you think what that worst value you can call, but running cold. It's funny because Elis has been doing running cold the whole time, right?
Yep, that's why. Just because he lost one hand. So this is how it looks like. I stay on 5, gets aces. So his hot run continues so far. 18 minutes after our first break. And he's been winning so far, I would say 75% of the hands we've had in this hour. Should be able to take this one down as well. I don't think Philippe is going to defend the 9-6 offsuit. There are better hands to defend than that one.
Yeah, given the way he's been playing so far, he hasn't been defending these types of hands. So like he does fold, but we know in the past we've seen a lot of guys just defend these types of hands. Are they're okay, but just because you got the chip lead, you can throw in a little bit of chips, see some flops, but it doesn't seem like Philippe take chip is doing that kind of action. Timothy Adams, ace 9. He's been a little bit quiet. I think he can get away with opening this one.
Yep. And I think that Elis is hoping that he folds so he can open his queen 10. These are annoying spots, right? Because you're like, kind of want to play my hand. On the other hand, if I call, somebody else raises, I have to fold. If I call and I miss, it becomes really expensive. So he just lets it go. And Timothy indeed does take this one down pre-flop. Well, this doesn't seem like a very exciting round. Philip is not going to open Jack 3. Kyle Maynard is absolutely going to open Ace King. I wonder if he sets up a trap here, because I stay on 5 has been a little aggressive. So you could maybe try to limp and then hope that he raises and then come over the top.
Yeah, I think it would have been like if there's someone I limp against it'd be against I stay on 5. I'll tell you that. But he just opts to raise. It's okay. Jack 10 suited again. This one should work. Should work.
Yeah, Timothy has been pretty tight so far at this final table. That Alki emote is great. His face is so happy. I guess he's just spamming them like crazy. All right, this could be a fun one. As we have pocket tens for Timothy Adams and Elis has ace 4 suited. But it's actually going to be Kyle Maynard who's opening up a jack 7 suited. Pretty much always 3-bet the tens here, right? Or if not, just go all in.
Ship it. Ship it in. This is a no questions asked kind of thing. If Timothy Adams does anything but ship it in, I'd be surprised. Like, I'd be shocked. I don't. Elis is just getting involved in emojis for like no reason. Like, it's just, there's no tough spot for him. He just like, you know, I guess he's keeping the emoji game alive. I like it. It's friendly. It's fun. Because I do. You know, when no one's using emojis, doesn't it kind of seem like everyone's like very serious, right? Like you want that guy who livens up the table a bit.
I actually thought he would just go all in there with the A7 suited, but instead he limps. And he's gonna
It's so confusing.
I think he's almost hoping that Philip raises here, and then he comes over the top and all ins, right? There's no way that you would ever just call. Instead,
Agreed.
Wow. Yeah, instead it goes check for the big blind. Now flops an open end there, and obviously the spades are still alive as well.
It's funny because you know you flop a hand like A7 here and 10-9-8. Like, wow, what a good flop! And then you think about it a little bit more. It's like maybe it's not as good as I thought about it because it's just a bunch of marginal potential. Maybe I hit a straight, but then could be a bad straight. Maybe I get a backdoor spade, and actually Philippe is the one betting out on the flop. One more bet will get it done, but it's hard to bet again with 6-5 offsuit. You're just thinking, oh man, what does this guy got? But I'll tell you this. Elis probably doesn't have that big of a hand because I think he would bet the flop on 10-9-8 if he had 2 pair, and I think he would raise or raise. So if Philippe wanted to continue firing, it could have been credible.
Raise or raise?
Well, it's hard to bet now.
Yeah. Well, Elis checks. Philip knows that if he wants to win this hand, he's going to have to bet because he is literally playing the board, and he just gives up. He's like, I've got the feeling you're trapping me, and he's going to receive the sad news that Elis actually didn't have a whole lot, but did have an ace high. That is a much welcomed pot for my man Elis, who is now above 4 million again. I think the other players are not going to be too happy to see that one. Timothy is going to open up King Jack from the cutoff. Elis is trying to figure out what emoji he should use, and he's going for the whop. That's why it took a little bit longer. I just knew it.
It's pretty funny. You got an emoji game on someone who's not even involved in any of the hands. It's just hilarious. Battle of the marginal stuff. 10-10-7 is a board you want to see bet a lot. Too often the big blind is just going to check fold, especially final tables. They're going to check fold even more. They're not going to check raise too much. Do think King Jack is one of those hands. Like the good King highs and the medium ace highs are ones you probably check back, but it would have been fine to bet that flop as well. Tempting to bet the King Jack on a turn, though. I guess the only tricky part is I didn't bet the flop, so I don't want to get check raised. Yeah, so let's check again. That's the thing. If you don't bet the flop, you kind of set yourself up to kind of get check raised knowing you can't represent a 10. So now he's actually going to lose the spot because I think if he bets that flop, he might win, or he bets a flop in turn. But this is the thing. You can't always play the way that would win you to, I don't know, because you can see the whole card so much easier, but you want to do your overall. Wow, actually the King Jack's betting now. This is very interesting.
Well done.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, very well done there by Timothy Adams. Perhaps a little bit upset with the way that hand played out. He's like, could have bet flop, but I didn't. And I kind of had everything on the turn, and I could have bet, but I didn't. And then it just breaks out. He's like, you know what? My pot, I'm going to take it down. and he gets Carl to fold his ace high. Obviously, it would have been a very tough call to make for Mr. Manhart. Let's see what happens here as Timothy Adams opens up Queen 10 suited, but Elis has the pocket eights. He is playing 21 big blinds, 20 big blinds in a bit, 21 before the hand, Nanonoko. Let's see what
This has
Elis
become a
decides to
math
do.
day today. 2 8s, just ship it in. See, everything. Yeah. Actually, surprisingly, ever since we got back from the break, it's kind of been as much changed in chip stacks. It's kind of been like kind of seems like a similar situation so far.
Well, Elis is doing great. I feel like he went from 3.2 million to now almost 5 million chips, so he's definitely getting the best of this. Tables are turned this time as Elis has ace 10, but we see that Philip wakes up with the pocket eights. This would be a great moment to 3-bet the eights, actually, because that makes it very hard for Elis. Ooh, and I stay on 5 has ace king here. I didn't even see that yet. A lot of aces are dead as Maynard folded ace 4 as well. Let's see what I stay on 5 decides to do. Would you say you just get it in here, or
rip it? Just rip it. I think with 26 big blinds, you don't really have a 3-bet and fold range. So yeah, you might as well just do what you would with like other hands as well. Shows the ace. Okay, come on. No one thinks you're doing an ace deuce.
It's funny as well because Elis obviously had an ace and then Carl had an ace as well. It's like, well, highly doubt you had aces there, but players don't know that about each other yet. Maynard opening up king 7 suited. Elis in the big blind with the 9-8, decides to make the call and flops absolutely nothing. Well, Carl flops a flush draw.
Yeah. Okay, min bet. It's been a little bit. I feel like what we've seen a lot so far actually is a lot of pre-flop shoves, reshoves, which have been pretty fantastic, of course. But in terms of post-flop, it's a lot of been maybe 1 bet, occasionally 2 bets, but a lot of just I don't know, no crazy bluffs so far, as in my opinion. It's a bit calm.
Yep. I stay on 5 is going to open up ace king here. And I think Timothy Adams was obviously planning on opening up his hand. It's always a bit tricky, right? I wouldn't mind a call here, but I think the fear of calling is always, what do you do if small blind or big blind goes all in? Then you're forced to fold. This becomes so annoying. But folding queen jack suited on the button also feels very nitty, right?
And it's oh god, but you know what? Queen Jack suited has a decent chance actually to the against Ace King. But like you said, it feels too nitty. You're like, I gotta play this hand. Let's just go for it. And it's gonna be all in clash, all in pre-flop. Come on, Adams, you got what? 35, 36%.
Let's see if Queen Jack suited can get there. That is a terrible flop for Queen Jack 10. Oh, okay. Diamond. The diamond dream is alive. Can we get a diamond on the river? And we cannot. Nope. And that means it is the end of Timothy Adams, who's now asking himself, why did I do that with Queen Jack? I didn't have to. But yeah, this is one of those spots. GG. Timothy Adams finishes in 5th place. It's going to bring him a little bit closer to taking 1st place on the Canadian all-time money list, Nanonoko. But for now, he walks away with $199,000, and we are down to 4. I do want to let you guys know that in 8 minutes, we have another free roll starting over at GGPoker. We're giving away 5 Battle of Malta tickets. This is for the mini main event. That's a $55 event, so a really cool free roll. And the password for it is mini main, all one word. You can capitalize the 2 M's if you want to. Mini main. There you go. Go pick up those tickets.
Wow, I feel bad for my pick is gone, but your pick is still in. But GG for the queen. That's the thing. When you're a good player and you get, you've been playing hands and stuff like that, right? You got the queen jack suited, the jack 10 suited. You feel like I can't be a nit. I got to play these hands. And sometimes that's what punishes you.
And like you said, Queen Jack does actually not that bad, right? Queen Jack suited against Ace King offsuit. You can easily win those hands as well. And then Timothy would be sitting on 8 to 9 million chips at this point. So it's a bit unfortunate. You can look at it and be like, it's a bit unnecessary. But I have also really realized that not just by watching these final tables, but by playing a lot of tournament poker myself as well, calling in those spots is also very annoying. When those two big blinds mean a lot to you. And then if the small blind or the big blind goes all in, you're pretty much always forced to fold. The hand feels too good not to play. I think it's just it is what it is moment, and you gotta move on.
See what's going on here. 8-6. Yeah, Philippe he raises, puts in his one, but you know, with his one C bet on a flop, it just seems to work a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's been having a very smooth final table so far, right? He came in as a third. No, he actually came in as one of the shortest stacks. He came in fifth place. He had 3.2 million 3.2 million chips to start this final table, and it just feels like it's been a never-ending upswing. Our man Elis is going all in with King 10 and takes it down. I mean, I'm starting to feel the PLO master over here, Nanonoko. He's giving me a never say die attitude. He's just hanging in there, casually surviving, has now already guaranteed himself $266,000. And with 4.4 million chips, I feel like anything is still possible.
It feels pretty good, I can imagine. Even for Kyle Maynard, yeah, like he came into his final table as a chip leader, has been getting involved, but a lot of marginal hands. Yeah, he's kind of the shortest stack right now, but like, when you get guaranteed $250,000, it's still going to feel pretty good in this tournament top four. I know everyone's looking at the top, but it feels better because top four normally, you know, it doesn't guarantee you this much. But right now, I'm getting this I stay on 5 vibes right now. It just seems like we've been liking his aggression pre-flop. Yep. He seems like he's willing to play a bit more. Now he's got the chip lead. Does he start opening up a bit more? I'm curious to see, but right now, the way I see it, it's I stay on 5 versus like a take chip heads up match coming up. But of course, one double up for one of the two other guys, it flip flops, man, because like they become the 10 million guy and the other guy becomes the 5 million. So anything can happen. But right now, these are that's kind of vibe I'm getting.
And all these spots are getting really big as well. Nice play here by Kyle Maynard, getting it in with the ace-9, getting I stay on 5 to force his opening or fold his opening. I mean, all these spots are pretty much over 1 million guaranteed at this point. So, yeah, 4 million, 9 million, it feels like there's a big difference, but you win 2 or 3 hands in a row. You don't even need to double up all in one hand, and you're pretty much completely back in the action.
Interesting
actually.
Play. Yeah, the limp.
Calls. The 7s. Let's see what I say on 5. I mean, it's not really the hand to make a play. 7s flop a set.
Wow. Yeah, funny, because actually it's going to get him the maximum amount of value by limping, because obviously his opponent would fold pre-flop. But I'll tell you, the reason Philippe actually limps is because he wants to kind of maintain his second place, but still get involved in pots against the chip leader, who's also pre-flop aggressive. So actually probably the ideal play with the stack side. Oh my God. I stay on 5s thinking, how did I get in this hand? He's like thinking, I love this hand. After this hand ends, he's going to be thinking, what happened? I got forced to play this hand.
That is so disgusting. As he now leads out and he bets 410,000 chips. And Philippe is like, nice. I love limping. Whoever told us not to limp. This is absolutely fantastic. And he's going to try to figure out. You probably just call here, right? Or would you say like, well, if my opponent is playing it like this, it's possible he has a 3 in the big blind in a non-raise spot. But I think
it's very calling possible. Is fine. He is going to go for the raise. I don't mind it. It does seem like, well, to get the most value, you do need to raise now. I guess the only problem is sometimes your opponent has a hand like 6-5 offsuit, you know, hands that are going to fold to a raise that don't have flush draw. So you can see the pros and cons both ways. I think ideal, if you want to make the most chips on average, raising would yield you the most. But I think calling. Wow. No. This is actually the way to lose the most chips. Funny thing is, I literally just hyped up I stay on 5, and he's just going to lose.
Now I would just call. Just call, right? Yes. If you're Philippe, at this point, you just call. And your opponent is going to fire at you again anyway at the river. So just call at this point. Don't get him off his hand now.
Agree. You don't want your opponent to have like some crazy flush draw play and just has to fold. Really, please just golf, take chip, because like you want the best of both worlds. If he has value, you're going to win the chips anyways. If he has a bluff, you want to win those chips. You don't want to move them off those hands. You can't lose. Good. This is very good.
That is a fantastic play by Philippe, and I stay on 5's gotta be a little worried right now. It's like, what the hell is happening in his hand? My opponent limped, and now he's just calling absolute massive bets over here. First, he raises me on the turn, then I raise him again, and he still calls. He's gonna be sitting on a monster, so I wouldn't be surprised if I stay on 5 actually checks here. Be like, wait a minute, I don't know what's happening here, but something smells fishy. And like, yeah, your hand is really good normally, but if your opponent is still sticking around, what are you doing that with, Nanonoko?
Yeah, he's gonna lose so many chips. I guess the question is how much.
Oh no. Okay, well, he's making this.
But I mean, obviously, take chips going to jam.
Yes.
What does I stay on 5 do here if the 8-3 offsuit? The thing is, okay, you don't think your opponent's limping the button with any other 3 besides potentially ace-3. The thing is, the very first limp, your opponent can have quad 3s, obviously, because you have a 3. So what does he have? A 2-7s? Pretty reasonable, but you're not sure yet because you haven't seen him limp. 2 kings? Did he? I don't know. I don't think he's going to put his opponent on 2 kings.
I do feel that I stay on 5 now is aware of the fact that he's in serious trouble. And it's exactly what you said 2 minutes ago, Nanonoko. How the hell did I get involved in a pot that could potentially cost me my tournament life? All I did was check on the button. It started off with a check, or on the big blind, excuse me. It started off with a check on the big blind. How did we end up like this? Well, I think he can fold. I hope he can fold. Because at this point, all his hand really is a bluff catcher, right? It's honestly not that strong anymore with the way that the action has gone.
Yeah, I agree. Because I don't think anyone's too insane to make a play like this. The question is, are you good enough to fold here? Oh man, he does lose to ace-3, and ace-3 probably would play it this way. I would, that's a great fold by stay on 5. He could have lost. He could have lost more if he bet more on that river too. Good stuff.
He could have lost everything. Now that was obviously pretty bad. The great news is that he wakes up with pocket 4s the next hand, so now he can actually flop a set, and sets are a lot more powerful than trips. So I'm not too worried. He's gonna be fine here. And like ace-5, ace-9, they've got each other's outs. He folds the 4s because wow, this is actually insane. Maynard just puts in the big 3-bet with ace-9 offsuit.
Maynard's going to win this pot. I thought I stay on 5 was going to main because I know he was going to ship those 2 4s. He's been shipping. Wow, I'm still thinking about that last hand, but I guess I do feel like he did overplay his hand a little bit in a sense that there's so much money still left to play. Top 4. This is a big tournament, a lot of entries. If you think about, I'm glad that he didn't lose the rest of his chips though, because when you break it down, you're just thinking maybe in the end I did put in a little bit too many chips the way it happened. But Philippe take chip 13.5 million is crushing. Maynard's actually I've been saying it throughout this final table as he's been getting a lot of marginal spots, has been getting involved, has won some pots, has lost some spots. So I think he's actually had the toughest game so far of these 4 guys remaining.
This can get a little bit dangerous. Pocket 5s on the button. Elis is going to go with the running hot, but I absolutely believe that Philippe will call him here with the ace-queen suited in the small blind. Now, that is a raise, but I'm not feeling very good about this one for our PLO master, as he needs to avoid the aces, the queens, and the diamonds. So far, he's good. He is still in the lead, needs to avoid an ace or a queen for a big double up. Can he get there?
Oh, no, that's not a good start. That's not a good start. Oh, that was so
easy.
Close.
Easy. The board pair is another deuce, and he does get there. The pocket 5s, even though they didn't make a set this time. Oh, that is a big double up. And what is happening, man? Like, suddenly, Elis is second in chips, and he is very close to being the chip leader at this final table.
Oh, man. And he's emoji tilting take chip right now. Wow, because not too long ago, what happened? I Stay on 5 had 10 million chips. Yeah. Then Take Chip had 13.5 million chips, and now Elis has the chips. What's going on?
Yep, and even Carl Maynard picked up a whole bunch of additional chips as well. As these two guys are going to see a flop with each other, the 9-8 suited against the 9-7 offsuit. We do know that nobody is going to make a flush here. Philip does take this one down with some nice continuation bet on this flop. And that's good to see as well. He didn't lose his confidence. Ooh, oh my goodness, these hands, Nanonoko, Queen 10. Philip is probably going to open this up. We know that Carl Maynard is capable of making plays when he feels that he should. This time he gets out of the way. But I Stay on 5 is not going to go anywhere. And Elis is definitely not going anywhere.
Elis, the new chip. Roddy, damn, did you pick a winner today? Did you pick
don't do that.
We're early celebrating.
Yeah, don't do that to me, Nanonoko. Don't do that to me. I know he's like, he's out. He can't possibly win. And then he flops this straight. I'm like, no.
One queen is, there's no way now.
Really good.
Obviously. Yeah, it's really good.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, that is going to do it. I don't know how that really happened. I Stay on 5 was on track for at least a heads-up match, a top 2 payout, but two big hands. The big blind, the A3 offsuit really costed him, and all of a sudden he is out in 4th place. Does walk away with $266,000, I believe. But, Nanonoko. I mean, this hand, it is what it is, right? Ace Queen against Ace King. These things happen. Elis is running hot at this point. But I think it really goes back to that hand in the big blind, the A3 against the pocket 7s.
Yeah, that one. It's crazy. Like we were saying, how if your eyes stay on 5, you gotta be on mega tilt, right? Because you went from like, I think was he the chip leader at one point, or
at
really
one
close?
Point he was. Yeah, at one point he was
chip leader, and then you're somehow out within 5 minutes, maybe less. Oh my god, that's just a disaster. Elis is thinking, I was trying to just ladder up. All of a sudden, I've got the power. I've got the chip lead. I'm the Rotterdam pick. Man, it's about time Roddy pick someone to win this tournament again. Take chip. Remember, you gotta take chip at 13 million chips, right? And he was thinking, oh man, this is perfect. Everyone's gonna fold to me every hand. All of a sudden, he just loses a bunch of chips. And what all this happened within 5 minutes. Well, I don't know. This is such craziness.
Yeah, and don't forget that this hour started off so well for I Stay on 5 as well. He won like 4 of the first 5 hands after the break, was chipping up like a mad lad, and now he is out in 4th place, which means we are down to 3. This could be a pretty fun hand. Carl Maynard with the flush draw. Elis does make a pair, but it's obviously, mid pair, no kicker at all. What do you do here, Nanonoko?
Well, I mean, you just call and see what happens on the turn. You want to keep the pot small, but I would like to see Kyle Maynard just auto fire turn bet. It's a blind versus blind spot, so the big blinds has a lot of random hands like this 8 deuce offsuit, king 4, like a lot of hands that would just fold the turn. I know the 9's a hard card to barrel on, but in a blind versus blind you can get away with it. But maybe you just spike the king. You gotta go for value with this hand. Your opponent could look you up with something random.
It's so hard to call that on the flop though. Like obviously if you make a pair you want to call, but what turn or river card is good for you when you're playing the ace deuce offsuit there? It's like, well, I have the 2 of spades, so hopefully I can get another 2 and make some random 2 pair. I think that Elis is gonna fold this one. That is a big bet as well on the river. Close to 1 million chips, and he will get out of the way. And the field gets a little bit closer here. Once again, I want to welcome all of you guys over here on YouTube. I believe this is the first time we're streaming it live on YouTube. Hopefully you guys have been having fun watching the 22nd edition of the High Roller Super Millions. And of course, make sure to follow this channel. Turn on the notifications because this is the channel where you can watch all the action between Daniel Negreanu and Doc Polk as well. And oh my goodness. Philip just flopped a straight, Nanonoko.
Must be nice, right? But when your opponent has 2 6s, you're like, unfortunate. These guys have a lot of stack to play for, all 3 of them, huh? 30 big blinds minimum. So that's why you are seeing a bit of limp. Maybe the thing, things were a bit quiet for a while, but it just gets explosive randomly, right? But with these stack sizes, I do expect a little bit of calmness, a little bit. Let the dust settle, right, from what a big action. Is 2 6s checking.
Yeah, Philip is not going to be up. Oh, wow, that is
nice
a funny
check,
river card. Yeah, he does check. Let's see if Elis feels that he should take a stab at this spot. Obviously, Elis knows that he's probably not going to win this one. If it goes to showdown, the sixes are not very useful on a board like this. It's like, what do you beat? 8-7? It's like, I beat 8-7 specifically. And he does fire. So great check on the turn there by Philip, who's now obviously going to raise as he's got the stone cold nuts. But we'll also know that he will never get called by anything that doesn't chop it with him. It's like min raise, right? And hope to get called somehow by a two pair. Or...
Pretty much. But I mean, that check was really smooth on the turn though, because like a lot of guys, they just get tempted to bet because maybe their opponent has two pair and protects, but actually yield him the most amount of chips. 2 8s and 2 7s, man. If these stack sizes were more shallow, they would easily get it all in. With these stack sizes, it does seem more of a raise and call kind of situation.
We know a lot of these guys don't like calling from the small blind, though. They like to put in some more chips than a no-call. But this time it is just going to be a call. Philip is like, the last time I played 2 7s, they were pretty good to me. Oh, that's pretty much how I got there. And what a flop. I mean, 7s most of the time are going to feel like they're good on this board. Kyle Maynard is like, hey, I flopped the king high flush draw. That's not all that bad. And Elis flopped a full house. Now, he is the pre-flop raiser. I would almost say just check this, right? And hope that your opponents improve.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a bad card though.
Yeah.
I know it's a good card. It improves your hand, obviously, but like
it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, it's Kyle Maynard. Like if he hits a flush, is not gonna love it. You know what I mean? But Philippe take chip does bet. Yeah, could get some.
Oh.
Okay, so somehow the quad eights is getting multiple players action right now. This is pretty intense.
At this moment, you're like, how did I get this lucky, right? It's like, wow, I've got quads and one guy is opening, the other guy is calling. Life's pretty good. Let's see how many chips we can get in there in the river. Philip is going to think like, are my 7s good here? There is a chance, but it's maybe not that likely. I'm going to check. Carmena is like, well, I didn't hit the diamonds, but I do have a king. But it is a 3-way pot, right? So it's like, it's possible that one of them has a 5 or one of them has an 8. Nobody's really thinking about Elis having quads, but that's actually what's happening.
Yeah. So if I'm Elis here, I'm probably thinking, it does seem like Kyle Maynard can have a 5. Maybe I bet a size I think that would call. So he's going for a small size. Because occasionally like a king would call as well, but man, this yeah, wow, nice. He still picked up a lot of chips for the quad eights there. Somehow improved from the flop. That seems almost impossible.
Yeah, flop the full house, turns quads, and just by checking on that flop, Philip is like, you know what? I think 7s are pretty good here. Let's see if any ace highs are going to call me, and then for one way or the other, it became a 3-way pot. Well, one of the players was having quads heading into the river. Philip is gonna just limp with the 5s. And Elis is actually just going to check. It's not a bad flop for Elis. His ace high is going to do pretty well here. He's got a lot of ways to win this hand. I think if Philip bets here, there is a good chance that Elis will stick around. He's got the ace of clubs as well.
So let's go check. Man, I still can't believe your guy's gonna freaking ship it. He's got 15. I know you say it's an early celebration, but right, you hit full house and you improved quads. Like you gotta feel pretty good. Like somehow this guy's been quiet, right, throughout the whole final table. He's been just spamming emojis in other people's turns, and then like he's got 15 million chips. Oh, it's been funny. I'll tell you that.
Well, he doesn't take this one down, though. I feel like a bet on the turn or a bet on the river would have absolutely taken it down for him. But Philip will win a little pot with his pocket 5s. It seems like we all limp with 7s today, Nananoko. It's like, is this a universal agreement that I've missed on GGPoker? If you got pocket 7s, you got a limp?
I mean, right. But the 2 7s when take chip actually limp, that's the one that actually yielded him so many chips from the guy. I stay on 5, right? You know, I'll point out though, everyone's guaranteed 350,000. That's been that might have been more than our last winner's final day, but I don't know. It's close, right? If I
Yeah, I think
recall
it was like
correctly.
361 or something. Or Mr. Gamble got 324 for his victory. So yes, you are correct. Top 3 here is better than winning some of the other editions. That is an
That means
unfortunate card, by the way, for Philip, as he now makes a pair of 6s. But yeah, go on, Nana.
well, don't worry about that. Can you recall what happened on the flop? I missed it real quick. Was it a bet and a raise, or was this a check and a bet? I don't know if you saw.
No, I think we limped, checked. So if it's like 255 on, there was no raising on the flop.
Okay. So that means that Philippe probably just bet that flop. It turns a 6. I think he's going to bet and then check back the river. I think at this point there shouldn't be too much more action besides call here from Elis, unless, you know, of course, improvement.
Elis will always call here, right? And he does. There is another spade that rolls off on the river, but it doesn't have a big impact on how this hand is going to get played out. Philip now gives up as well, and it indeed goes check. And that means that Elis wins another proper pot. 3.8 million chips heading his way.
Do you feel good now? Can we celebrate yet?
No, we cannot. Because I know that if he doesn't win it, you're going to remind me of this in the upcoming 17 editions. So I am not celebrating until he gets it in with 94% in the heads up. Okay, like then I'll celebrate.
I do want to point out, one of the guys in the chat actually said time bank's coming into play soon. And actually, Elis has got 47 seconds left. Take chips a minute 25. And, you know, oh, wow. Actually, is this it? Is your guy going to spike an ace because he's running so good? Or is this going to be a let's stalemate it again? Let's double up our opponents. This is definitely an all-in play if ace 9 up.
You know, yeah. Do you think he would never just call here?
Nah. Unless he's like super suspicious, the standard would be to jam. The only reason I see him calling is he's actually suspicious of this raise.
Come on, just call, mate. Just call. Don't get yourself in any trouble. Call. Oh, my goodness. He does go all in. And obviously, we're going to get the call of the pocket kings of Kyle Maynard. Let's see if he can indeed spike an ace. Nope. Doesn't really look like it. Not yet, at least. Okay. Picks up additional outs. So now it's an ace or a 7.
7-0 is coming. Go. No.
It is not going to be the case. So Elis loses 4 million chips there. He's still the chip leader, but that is a fantastic victory for Kyle Maynard. You know, I actually wouldn't have minded if he would have just shipped the kings pre-flop, because then it almost feels like, or like shipping it immediately, because then it feels like you're stealing, right? It's like, oh, I hope you have nothing that you can call me with, and then ace 9 would probably call because you feel ace 9 is good, but it obviously.
I mean, he got the same result anyway, but yeah, I think with his stack size a little bit. It did look a little strong for him to open raise there with his stack size. So maybe I should prefer limp jam with the 2 kings, but it doesn't really matter. He won all the chips, and somehow take chip is in 3rd place. Don't know how, but he is.
Well, that 6-10 definitely costed him some chips as well, and then obviously the pocket 7s. Pocket 7s on 855. Can't really blame him for sticking around with that one. All these spots are just becoming so big because the small blind and the big blind are getting so high as well. And in 5 hands, the blinds go up again. So every pot truly matters at this point. Kyle Maynard may feel that. Maybe try to steal it. 2.1 million in the middle. Fires 1.2, takes it down. That's going to bring him very close to the 10 million chip mark.
Well, I'll tell you this. I didn't expect Kyle Maynard and Elis to be the one potentially going into heads up when it was 4-handed and 5-handed. But take chip they're taking his chips. They're taking his chips. He's no longer the one taking. Here's the limp Kyle Maynard. He's got to feel good. At this point, it's kind of like, okay, I'm finally above my starting stack from that, from coming into play heads up, feeling good with 9.5 million. You got to feel good. I know he had the best hand that last hand, but with the 2-barrel, the 7-8, you're thinking maybe I got the best hand to fold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it always feels good when you fire a bet there with bottom pair and you're like, oh, just fold, fold. And then you see your opponent fold. You're like, yes, took that one away from him. But, you know, doesn't really matter. A win is a win and it feels good whether he was ahead or not. If you guys missed some of our pre-show, Kyle Maynard did come into this final table as the chip leader. I know a lot of people joined the broadcast while we were live for a little while. This tournament always takes place on a Sunday, and then they play down till the final 9. In the final 9, we broadcast live every Tuesday, normally over on Twitch and YouTube. This time, it's just YouTube, so hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you guys can get all the notifications as well for the heads-up match between Daniel Negreanu and Doc Falk. Kevin Martin is hosting that with various co-commentators, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. As you guys can see, we are heading into our second break of this final table. We've got a new chip leader, and his name is Elis, but yeah, he did just lose a 8 million chip pot against Kyle Maynard. So this is still anybody's game. Let's see if Philip can bring it back, or if we are getting ready for a heads-up match between our PLO master, as we have described him in the pre-show, and the man who came in as chip leader, Kyle Maynard. 4 minutes. We'll be right back. See you guys soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back, guys. We will continue our coverage of the 22nd final table of the High Roller Super Millions in 1 minute. Until we do that, I just want to mention that obviously every Saturday is a bit of a community day over at GGPoker. You guys can watch all the GG squad guys scream, Jay Nandes, Easter Dams, Jactis, Egyptian. They're all going for it. They play some games together. I played some Among Us with them last Saturday. That was a disaster because I don't really play any other video games other than StarCraft. But it's really fun. And then obviously on Saturday evening, we always have the $210 bounty Beat the Pros event, which is really cool. It's a big field. The field gets bigger every Saturday. We had over 1,200 players last Saturday. And if you knock one of the influencers or streamers out, you get a free ticket into a $5,000 free roll, which there is a lot of value in that one because a lot of people, when they qualify for that, they don't even know. So they just kind of sit out. So if you knock one of us out, and that's very doable because you go up against donkeys like myself, and you get to play that one as well. It's really a lot of fun. That event is super fun to follow every Saturday. Nano Noko calls it the Beat the Idiots event. Well, Nano, I did play like an idiot last Saturday, so you're not wrong.
Donkey, idiot, both pretty good. Let's get back to it. Take chip, Queen Jack suited. Always a pretty hand to get right on the button.
Man, it's kind of crazy. He's got 5 million chips, but it's only 20 bigs. Well, a little bit more because he just put in the raise. So you have 22, 23 to start the hand with, but you always feel a little bit short. He gets called by the ace-3, and Elis does pair his ace. I bet he was wishing that would have happened when he had the ace-9 against the kings, but this is still pretty good.
A little greedy, huh? But yeah, pretty good. It looks like check on the flop. I would just keep checking the ace-3. I think, you know, you want to control the pot a little bit still because your opponent could have a 6, of course, but you want to pick up those delayed continuation bets. It looks like he is going to bet, but I think checking would have been a nice play.
Yeah. Are you not worried because diamonds would have continued betting that flop? Is that why?
Exactly. I do think straight draws and diamonds oftentimes will just bet that flop. So yeah, I guess. But the thing is, take chip hasn't been doing delayed continuation bets. He's actually been betting the flop a lot. So maybe Elis was thinking his opponent probably has showdown like a 9 and was trying to get value that way. So it does make sense now that I think about it a little bit more.
Or he had one of the tiny pocket pairs. That's possible as well.
Yes, exactly.
Well, speaking of pocket pairs, Elis wakes up with pocket 9s. He is going to just 3-bet this, or just going to put in a 3 times big blind. It's opening up, obviously, just raising. Gonna take this one down as Jack 4 can't really defend the big blind there. I like the sizing from small blind to big blind, just 3xing. When you have a hand like that, makes sense to me.
Okay, I'll tell you this. What Elis needs to do is continue emojiing throughout this tournament, whether it's his turn or not. If he does that, he's gonna jinx himself. He really needs to continue it up. He did the whole thing throughout the whole final table. There's no reason to stop now. He just keeps. Maybe that's why his time bank is so small. Do you think? Do you think he's just busy spamming emojis?
Well, he wasted a couple seconds on that, yes, but I think he had 1 or 2 difficult decisions as well. But yeah, with only 15 seconds, that definitely is something to keep in mind. He's gonna give up on this one. As this is one of the very first times, actually, he opened up a hand like Jack 6 suited. He hasn't really done that throughout this final table. Yeah, this is not really the board to go for it. Nobody really has a lot. Philip is probably feeling all right about his 10 since the ace is paired. He's like, well, I've got the best possible 10. He's got to be feeling like he's in the lead here.
I would go for value 100% now. Your opponent's checked around his flop. They check around his turn. There's no way the king 10 is not the best hand. I don't know why he's checking, to be honest. It just, I think it's missed value with the king 10. Yeah, I don't know. Just your kicker is the absolute nut kicker too. I think it makes more sense to check with like a jack 10, maybe a queen 10, but it does seem missed.
Yep. But he's still going to take it down, and those are chips that he definitely needs. He's now back to 6 million as the blinds go up again. So Philip once again down to 20 bigs. Let's see if he opens up 9-10 suited here, as he will do so. We know that Carl Maynard has pocket 8s. Would you say get it in, or what would you do here, Nanoko?
Yeah, 2 8s. Just get it in. It just has so much fold equity pre-flop. If you get called, you're oftentimes just flipping anyways. I think by calling, it's always a little scary when he's emojiing, you know, because you're like, a lot of guys emojied and get it in, right? But I guess with him, it's been a bit random. But yeah, I think this is the right play of 2 8s for sure.
He only has 8 seconds left on the time bank, so he really does need to be careful now. And he's probably going to use that the next time he's got a big decision. If you have no more time bank left, you will still have 5 seconds to make every decision. I believe you have 5 seconds, and then you have 5 seconds until your time bank starts ticking, which also is 5 seconds. So
Ooh.
9-10 will make the call, and he pairs his 9, but yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's
Interesting,
scary,
though.
right? That's so scary.
I mean, he was only playing like 20-something big blinds to start the hand, called the pretty big 3-bet. And I guess that's one of the problems when you don't just 3-bet ship it in. Sometimes you got to play post flop. And Kyle Maynard is thinking, did this guy really just call my 3-bet? Yeah, and you can see so confusing for Elis. But that's what happens, you know? Now, he's actually in a tough spot. But the thing is, don't think Kyle Maynard should be worried about the ace too often. Ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack. If they ain't going to call a 3-bet, they're just going to just ship it in pre-flop anyways. So, okay, wow. You just hit a set on the turn, reward. Wow, it's been some passive plays that just make some crazy hands for everyone.
Yeah. Now, obviously, Philip still has plenty of ways to win this hand, right? With a jack or a 6, he will still make the straight. So this is going to be very weird. 1.1 million into a 4.6 million pot. I almost feel like you have to call here and just pray for a jack or a 6 on the river.
And you're probably thinking a 9 or a 10 is good too.
Yeah.
I think Take Chip knows he's behind. Wow, he's actually going to ship it in. Wow, I think he's trying to put pressure on 2 kings, 2 queens, or 2 jacks.
Yeah.
Is he out of the tournament?
Yes, he is, because the 7 is no good to him. So Take Chip will finish in 3rd place. He was our dominant chip leader for a little while. At one point, he was up to 13 million chips when the second guy had like 5 or 6 million chips. But that's how quick it can go. Wow, we are heads up, Nanonoko. Between the man who came in as chip leader and the man who was blessed by the Roddy pick at the beginning of the show. The PLO master.
We lost Timothy Adams. We lost Take Chip. We lost I Stay on 5. 3 guys, I thought at least one of them would get through heads up. Yeah. Especially these 2 guys. But congrats to Take Chip, Philippe, Day something. 354,000 he just won. But you know what? 50% automatically goes to Ami Bear, who bought his action. So congrats on the $175,000. I guess you did sell on a little bit of a markup, so he gets a little bit of rake back on that, but still a good result for him.
I think an excellent result in the end, and he played very well. Just got a little unfortunate, I guess, 1 or 2 hands. This is a funny hand. I think 9-3 is going to be able to win this one. There's obviously not too much in the middle. And he actually goes for a little bet here. Bit surprised by the bet. What is he hoping to accomplish with the bet?
I think it's fine, actually, because a queen and ace, they would have bet by now. So he can still get called by a 7, and maybe he chops it up with a 9. He gets him to fold sometimes, but I actually think it's fine. In these blind versus blind spots, limp pots, like you can get the value requirements, they go down a bit. Okay, time bank's out.
Yep. Now you guys can see the clock is turning red, so he really needs to make a decision. Okay, that's actually a pretty good turn card. We knew that he was already in the lead, but now his pair of 5s will go together with the open-ended straight draw. And this is going to be probably a pretty quick heads-up match, Nanonoko. Obviously, the big line being 300k is a lot, and I mean, we are playing 40, 50 bigs effectively, but Elis is going to have to make very quick decisions. And I think it's a little bit easier to make a mistake as well when you only have 10 seconds every hand.
Yeah, so like you said, we get about 5 seconds before your shot clock, and he has 5 seconds. And since the shot clock is red, that means he's out of time bank. If he gets to 0, hand just dead or checks, I believe, is the 2 options only.
This is
dangerous. top pair,
yeah. Top pair versus top pair. Obviously, the 7 is not a great kicker. He's just going to make the call here. That's 4. Doesn't really change that much normally. So Elis is in a little bit of trouble here. What are you giggling at?
I was just thinking, Roddy is thinking, please drop a 7, a king, an ace, something to save my guy some chips. I want my guy to ship this tournament. Kyle Maynard, he's looking for 3 streets of value in the spot. It's a pot-sized bet. That's a huge bet. And I don't think Elis can fold this hand. 2 offings up against Jack 10, King Jack, 2 spades, 7. I can name so many draws. There's so many draws out there. He cannot fold right now.
What a run out. What a horrible run out for Elis. I mean, in heads up, top pair feels like the absolute nuts. We know that's not the case here. But I think if Carl Maynard, oh my, I
All
don't think,
in. Wow.
and he's only got 10 seconds, Nanonoko.
I
But
know.
it's
You
so
can't end the
hard. but-
tournament now. You can't
Yep.
end it now, Elis, can you? He
No,
calls,
he makes the
it's
call.
over.
It is all over. Queen Jack takes it down, and Carl Maynard is the second player who comes into the final table as a chip leader and actually wins the entire event after 22 editions. And I really think that showed the importance of the shot clock, the time bank that you have. I mean, perhaps wasted a few too many seconds there on spamming emotes throughout the entire evening. It is really hard to fold top pair in a heads-up match, right? I mean, normally heads-up, you see all these riggedy hands battling it out with each other. So Queen 7, it feels good, but I think if he had more time there, Nanonoko, that hand would have played out very different.
Wow, I was going to say the same thing. This guy's wasted too much time emoji, but maybe that emoji game got him to that top 2 guaranteed. Who knows? It's a fantastic score regardless for Elis. He was your pick. He did not win. He was guaranteed to win when he had 17 million chips or whatever, but no, not guaranteed. I guess there is no guarantees in poker. They can always run it. But what a fantastic final table. That was the quickest heads-up match ever. I thought that match was going to go at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something. It was over in 2 seconds. They actually didn't get any chance to feel each other out. It was over within 5 hands, I believe. I want to talk about that final hand a little bit more. I feel like it didn't get enough time it deserved. It was a huge pot. He lost 40 big blinds, I believe, in the heads-up hand just now. The flop call is obviously standard top pair. It's Queen 9 something. Turn, there's so many draws, like I said, flush draws, straight draws. And his opponent does a pot-sized bet. You got top pair, you can't fold at this point, especially because people like to play their draws very aggressively still. River blanks out perfect. His opponent shoves. It's a nuts or nothing situation, but the thing is, it wasn't really a nuts or nothing situation. That's the beauty that the way Maynard played it, because he actually had just top pair and not even the greatest kicker. Jack kicker is still probably the best hand because King Queen probably would have re-raised, Ace Queen probably would have re-raised, but it was a fantastic play because a lot of guys would not get that much value out of the Queen Jack. And you had 10 seconds to think about it. If you put your opponent on a draw on a turn, no draws hit, maybe you just cry and call, I don't know, but like, man, that's actually, if you really think about, Maynard really got the most value out of that hand, like in heads up play. It's Elis, he hung out throughout the whole final table. He actually never got a chance to really exert that chip leader power, that most people get to do, but it's okay. Top 2, and the guy who came in as a chip leader, I feel like he got involved in a lot of spots, had a lot of tough spots. He did 3-bet a lot of like raggedy aces and actually got them through a lot of times, and he had a tough final table in my opinion. He didn't get down really low, but he did have a fight for a lot of spots, and he played really solid, and he just took it down today.
That run out is, I think, really what killed Elis in that final hand, right? Because the run out is just so underwhelming. I was a 6 and a 3 or something, whatever it was. It didn't really change anything. If you thought that your queen was good on the flop, you think it's going to be good on the turn, and then you think it's going to be good on the river as well. And then on top of that, you just literally have 5 seconds to make the correct decision with your tournament live on the line. And it's a bit of a brutal ending. It looked so good when he had 17 million chips, then had the ace-9 against the kings. And that is really kind of where the upswing started for Maynard, because at that point he was at 4 million. He went from 4 million to winning the tournament in what felt like 20 hands. And it all started with the kings. We had a couple of really fun hands. Of course, we had that crazy hand where I Stay on 5 was involved versus Take Chip with the pocket 7s.
That was the hand.
The 8-3. Oh, that was quite a hand as well. I think overall it was a really fun table, right? And we saw a couple of fun hands in the beginning of the show as well.
Well, in the final 5, I'll tell you that what happened was I think all 4 of those guys had the chip lead at some point, and they lost it so very quick. Yep. Actually, Kyle Maynard didn't really get it again until he started with the chip lead, didn't get in until the very end, and he closed it out because the other 3 guys couldn't do it. It was no clear dominant player actually in this final table. It was a bit more like grindy, and then like 5 minutes of craziness and a bit grindy, and then 5 minutes. It was like, this was crazy all of a sudden. I thought we were going to be here for at least a half hour more, and it's over. But I'll tell you just one statistic that just increased. No, it's not the Rotterdam did not pick correctly again statistic. It's that the chip leader actually shipped the tournament again. This is the second time the chip leader has shipped it today, and it was fun. And he shipped himself how much did he use? 650,000 or so.
Yes, a little bit more than that, 657 or 667, something among those lines, which I think is the second highest first place finish we had, besides the massive field we had during the World Series of Poker. But yes, obviously that's because it's High Roller Week. This event was part of the High Roller Series that's currently going on over at GG. A couple of crazy tournaments are happening. Jay Nandes was participating in one of the PLO events. That was fun as well. I think that's pretty much going to do it, Nanonoko, for us today. I mean, there are so many things happening over at GGPoker that I don't even know where to start. But obviously, the Battle of Malta is still going on. There's a lot of events happening each and every single day. And like I mentioned in our break, well, we only had a couple of minutes. Saturday is kind of the community day. A lot of fun events are happening. All the GGPoker influencers and streamers teaming up together. They're playing some cash games. They're going on little quests as well, where they try to build like a 4-time buy-in stack in 10, 25 cents Zumpo or, Russian cash. So that's fun to watch as well. And of course, every Saturday evening, we have the Beat the Pros event. And that event, Nanonoko, 1,200 entries last Saturday. It keeps getting bigger every single weekend, and that's really fun to see. So I hope to see some of you guys there. And of course, make sure to follow GGPoker Official on Twitter. Even if you don't use Twitter that much, you can guess the winning hand of the High Roller Super Millions every week. And you can win a little jackpot. This week, the winning hand was Queen Jack offsuit. I kind of forgot which suit it was exactly. One of them was dark, right? Like Queen of Spades?
Club. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, obviously that will be announced, and if you guess the winning hand, then you should walk away with a little jackpot. So that is going to do it for us. It was a fun edition. It was a very big prize pool. Do you have any final words, Nanonoko? One more hand you want to mention before we send the viewers off?
No, I want to just say, follow the YouTube channel, GGPoker, because Doug Poke Negreanu happening again soon. I think maybe it's tomorrow or something. Kevin Martin's gonna be on the comms on that. Like, you just gotta watch it. If you're not involved, you're not a poker fan.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been pretty tough for Daniel so far since things moved online, but let's see if he can turn it around. Maybe if he starts running a little bit harder. I think anything is still possible because they're like 4% into that challenge. So you guys have, well, hundreds of hours of poker content to consume in the upcoming months. Just make sure to follow the channel, subscribe, and then turn on the notifications as well, so you won't miss a single episode. That's all for us. We are back next week, every Tuesday. The tournament always plays on Sunday, and then obviously we bring the final table on Tuesdays. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be.